Cincinnati is sold out. Great American Ballpark as the Cincinnati Reds host the Washington Nationals in Game 2 of the 3-game set. It's all part of 20 games in 20 days against, again, another outstanding pitching contingent. Hi, hello, and welcome to Cincinnati, everyone. Along with the crafty left-hander Chris Welch, I'm George Grant. Big news right before the game. We'll talk more about that as the game progresses, but Scott Rowland placed on the disabled list. Mike Costanza called up. We'll talk about that a little bit more as the game goes on. But the big news for this Nationals team has been pitching, and from a standpoint of the Reds, Chris, this is the #1 pitching staff in the league, and they're showing the Reds why.
Well, you're really right about that, George, and you're just not talking about 1, 2, or 3 guys in the order. You're talking about all of them that are pitching in. Just look what they've done against the Reds this year. The Reds against the Washington Nationals, the winning percentage is only 200. They're beating everybody else. They have a good batting average against everybody else. They're even hitting home runs once a game against everybody else, but they can't get a sniff of nearly any of that stuff against the Nationals. That's how well Davey Johnson's crew has pitched against the Reds so far. Tonight, a 25-year-old right-hander from Wisconsin, Jordan Zimmerman. This guy's a real deal now. He throws the ball up around 94 miles an hour, has a good curveball and a changeup. He keeps the ball in the ballpark. And the thing for Zimmerman this year that he's throwing way more ground balls than he's ever thrown before. He's a guy that is tough to elevate the ball on. Last night, a hard-throwing left-hander. Tonight, a hard-throwing right-hander. Matt Latos, 25 years old. He takes the mound, hoping to kind of follow up on what he did his last time in Pittsburgh, George, where he was outstanding.
He had a rough first inning, Chris, but when you bring Matt Latos to town, you expect a big-time pitcher. He was big-time from then on out.
Well, this is a big-time night tonight because you've got a full house. It's a completely sold-out crowd tonight, standing room only. They want to see Matt Latos. They want to see the Washington Nationals and Bryce Harper. It'll be a great matchup of a couple of young, hard-throwing right-handers. We'll see which one of these guys ends up on top.
We know we got some great pitching. Hey, can anybody get some hits for the Reds? Brandon Phillips has been doing his part. Can he get it rolling next? The big bopper from second. Can he keep the Reds rolling?
Is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Tonight's weather report is brought to you by Thompson Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Drain Cleaning. On an overcast night, let's get the latest weather from Channel 12's Scott Dimick.
Hello, everyone. I'm meteorologist Scott Dimick. If you're heading out to Great American Ballpark tonight, threat for rain will be increasing, and I expect cloudy to mostly cloudy conditions from start to finish. For first pitch at 7:10, 70 degrees. Still a chance for rain during the 7th inning stretch, 63 then. As you head back from the game tonight, we'll have a temperature around 60 degrees. Enjoy the game.
Thanks, Big Scott. Let's go to another big guy, Brandon Phillips, who's been big at the plate. Chris, when he starts going to right, you know he's getting it right.
Well, he is going to right recently, that's for certain. The last 4 games, he's 8 for 16. That's an even 500, a couple of doubles in there. But you're right about that, George. When he goes to right, that's when he becomes very difficult to defense, very difficult to pitch to, and just see where he has hit his balls. In April, you see where a lot of the pitches were hit in the center field and in left field for base hits, only 2 base hits in the right field. But now in May, he's spraying them all over the place. That's why Brandon Phillips is coming up in the world a little bit as far as hitting the ball and putting a little bit of fear in the other pitcher.
All that translates into a 6-game hitting streak for the Reds' outstanding second baseman. Gold Glove, yup. Big bat, yup. Drew Stubbs, can he get the Reds rolling at the top of the lineup? He'll bat second tonight. Zach Cozart will lead it off. Can the Reds get some runs? Find out next on Fox Sports Ohio. Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, being brought to you by the 2012 Ford F-150 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. By Cincinnati USA. Let us be your travel guide to Cincinnati USA. Visit CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Game time is Skyline time. Stop by your favorite Skyline Chili today. Back home, so to speak, Davey Johnson, a manager for the Reds for a couple of years. Back in the managerial seat, a 15-year manager, an outstanding player in his own right with the Orioles, on to Atlanta. And he's got a team that's battling for first place in the Eastern Division. Let's check the starting lineup, brought to you by AXA Advisors for Davey Johnson and the Washington Nationals. For the Nationals, they're a team that comes in searching for offense. They had more offense last night than you would have expected them to come to town with. And he and Desmond will be leading it off. Desmond in the leadoff spot at shortstop. Roger Bernardina had 3 runs batted in and a homer last night, his second homer of the year. Ryan Zimmerman off the DL is in the number 3 spot. Adam LaRoche, who's killed the Reds this year, hits in the cleanup spot. Bryce Harper, Danny Espinosa, Rick Ankiel, Ramos, and Zimmerman. That's 1 through 9. Your Nationals AXA Advisors starting lineup. And here's Matt Latos.
Matt Latos, hard-throwing right-hander, looking for his 3rd win of the year. And he's coming off one outstanding outing. That was against the Pittsburgh Pirates, where he struck out 11, gave the Reds 7 innings of shutout baseball, 6 starts, earned run average still up there because he gave up some runs in April. It's been taken. He has a history, Latos does, of getting his velocity up more as the season wears on, getting better and better at his craft as the season goes on.
Latos in at 2-2. An earned run average just under 5. He's got it under 5 at 4.93. Facing Desmond, who's in at 259. Big swing and a miss.
You're going to see very much of a similarity between both of these pitchers tonight. Matt Latos and Jordan Zimmerman both go at it with mostly fastballs, slider, curveball. Latos more of a 4-seam fastball pitcher. Zimmerman more of a 2-seam fastball pitcher.
Desmond in the leadoff spot. Does he call himself a leadoff hitter? He says, no, wherever the manager puts me, I'm happy with it. I'm learning to live in the leadoff spot. Against Cincinnati, he's had some of his best numbers against any team in the league. Overall, 320, 9 runs batted in, and 3 doubles. Kind of reminds you of the former Cincinnati product, Lance Johnson. He says, I'm a leadoff hitter, not a leadoff walker. He'll swing at about anything you throw him. Like that one. Swing and a miss. 1 strikeout for Latos. Here comes Roger Bernardina, and here's a peek at your 4 defensive alignment for the Reds. In the outfield, Ryan Ludwig gets another start. Stubbs and Bruce, center and right. Todd Frazier will be at 3rd, with Scott Rowland placed on the disabled list today. Zach Cozart, Brandon Phillips, the double play combo, and Joey Votto came up with a brilliant defensive play last night, the Gold Glover at first. And Ryan Hannigan, with his hitting streak, is behind the plate catching Latos. Here's Bernardina, the left-handed swinger, showing bunt. Frazier charging at 3rd, and he pulls the bat back for ball 1. He had a pretty good night last night, didn't he, Chris?
Well, he certainly did, and he really set the pace for the Washington Nationals with that long at bat that he had against Mike Leake. Fouled off a number of pitches before he got a pitch over the middle of the plate that he launched for a home run.
The 9-pitch at bat wound up with a 2-run homer after a Desmond base hit that gave the Nationals an early 2-0 lead. They added another run, and it was 3-0 in the first. He followed that up with a base hit on a 3-2 pitch in the second that made it 4-0. So a productive night for Bernardina. Roger was one of those originals from Montreal. He's signed in the organization before they moved to Washington. He's had injuries that have sidetracked his career, and getting a chance with all the injuries they've had in the outfield to start now. 2 balls, 1 strike. The Gold Glover has it. Good. Here comes Ryan Zimmerman. Speaking of 3rd basemen that have had their shoulder problems, Zimmerman just came off the disabled list. Really tested yesterday with a twisting, off-balance throw that strained his right shoulder again, but he said he's in there and back, ready to go at it again. He's a bulldog. He's one of the best in all of baseball at 3rd defensively, especially at those slow rollers in front of him. Offensively, he comes in a little below normal at 257 with a homer and 7 knocked in. And Chris, he's one of those quiet leaders, but he is one of the keys to this club in terms of leadership.
No, you're right about that, because if you lose him, you lose a Gold Glover, or at least Gold Glove caliber at 3rd base, a guy that hits right in the middle of the order, and he's been around a while. So he's one of those guys you really don't want to lose if you're Davey Johnson. Hey, right now, watching Matt Latos, this is one of those nights, and it might be too early to predict this, but this is a rare night when a pitcher comes out and it looks like the ball is coming out of his hands so easy, so well. I mean, he's dialing it up right now to 95, 96 in the 1st inning. Usually you throw harder after you get a couple of innings under your belt.
You had a few nights like that, huh?
If you had them 2 fastballs together, I don't think I got the 96.
You got some cream of the crop fastballs in this series. Latos, you won't see Strasburg, but Gio Gonzalez, Rodriguez, Chapman, some of the best fastballs in all of baseball in these two teams.
You're right about that, and the Reds hope they get to a situation where they can bring in Aroldis Chapman to finish it off for Matt Latos.
1-2. Got him. Eric Cooper says that's good enough for strike 3, and that'll end the first. Nice way to start it. Latos takes a breather to the leadoff spot. Here's Cozart. Dusty Baker just trying for number 1501 right now. Let's check his AXA Advisors starting lineup for Dusty. Zach Cozart back in the leadoff spot. Drew Stubbs bats second. Joey Votto in the 3-hole, and Brandon Phillips, who's got that hitting streak of 6 games, backed up to Votto's hitting streak of 6 games as well. Bruce Frazier, Ludwig, Hannigan, and Latos. That's 1 through 9. Your Reds AXA Advisors starting lineup, and here's the Z-Man, Jordan Zimmerman.
Well, as I said in the pregame, this might be the best 1 and 3 pitcher in all the National League. He's had very little run support, but he throws up a lot of zeros on the board, especially early in the ball game. Only 25 years old. In his 4th season as a big league pitcher.
Cozart lines it to right. That's a Zippo base hit, and the Reds have the leadoff hitter on.
Great bit of hitting by Cozart. Knowing you're going to get fastballs early on, knowing that he's a hard guy to pull the ball on, go ahead and go with it.
Get him on, get him over, get him in. Something the Reds have had difficulty doing. Last night they had difficulty getting runs home. They stranded on the night 10 batters. Drew Stubbs trying to move him over here. Stubbs in at 256. 3 homers, 10 knocked in. For Drew last night, 1 for 5. That one was a bunt base hit. They've been pounding him in, and they pound him in here. Eric Cooper's your home plate umpire. Marty Foster's down at first. Tim Timmons at second, and Jeff Kellogg your third base umpire. Overcast night, sellout crowd. Hoping to get the Reds untracked offensively here in Cincinnati. Fouled at the plate. When he's good, he's very, very good. He's hitting .333 in his last 7 games. When he's struggling, tendency to strike out, yes. But that's the package of Drew Stubbs. He provides brilliant defense in center field. Game-changing defense. And Chris, he's still growing into his skin. You know, for many years we tried to compare Jay Bruce to Joey Votto, always forgetting about Joey was 4 years older than Jay. It takes Jay a while to catch up, and Drew Stubbs, same thing, still growing into his body, growing into his baseball life.
Well, I think he's still, George, trying to define what type of a baseball player he's going to be. Whether he wants to be a contact guy, whether he wants to sit back and swing for the fences. He's bunted more this year than he ever has before. he is making a conscious effort to try to put the ball in play earlier in the count. But he's still running up a lot of strikeouts. And I think that's something that you're going to get with Drew Stubbs just as a player. I mean, he was a high strikeout player when he was player for the University of Texas. He was all throughout the minor leagues, and he continues to be so. You know what they say about the back of a baseball card, it doesn't lie. That's why I think he feels a little more comfortable in a number 2 slot rather than leading off.
And if you look at pitch selection, he swings and misses far more at breaking balls, and with Joey Votto behind him, and this is Dusty Baker's feeling, he's got a better chance to see a fastball once in a while.
Well, he just saw a breaking ball that missed down and away, and there's a real good chance right here that Jordan Zimmerman's going to come with him with a fastball. It happened last night behind the plate, 3-2 counts. Almost every one of them was a Gio Gonzalez fastball. I'm betting he's getting one right here.
Real good chance Cozart might be moving too. He's going. That's bounced towards second. They will not get him at second and not get him at first. Sending the runner pays off. Aggressive baseball for the Reds. Well, last night they turned 2 brilliant plays at second on shovel passes with the glove from the second baseman Espinosa to the shortstop. But here, this cost them an out at second. Take a look.
Boy, isn't speed a wonderful thing? Zach Cozart has deceptive speed. Drew Stubbs has blazing speed. And this little bouncer right there that would normally look like it would be a double play turns out to be a no play at all, except 2 men on for the Reds.
So it's a good way to start it. 2 on, nobody out. Get him on, get him over, get him in. Here's Joey's job. At 292, a 6-game hitting streak coming to the plate. They'll score that as a fielder's choice. No base hit for Stubbs, but the Reds, most importantly, have 2 on, nobody out. Last night, Joey was 1 for 3. On the evening, he walked in the first, had an infield hit in the fourth, walked in the fifth, struck out and bounced into a fielder's choice. Still a productive out, even though he's disposed of as the runners go to second and third. A check to 4 defensive alignment for this Nationals team. Reds are 8th in the league defensively. Nationals are 9th. Bernardina in left, Ankiel and Harper, 2 of the best arms in the league in center and right. Zimmerman, a Gold Glove caliber third baseman. Desmond and Espinosa, very athletic at the middle infield spots. LaRoche solid at first, and Wilson Ramos behind the plate catching Jordan Zimmerman. I figure the Reds will try to do some running against Ramos in this series. He's thrown out only 1 of 10 on the season. Here's Brandon with his hitting streak. 2 on, 1 out. Reds trying to chalk one up early. Breaking ball, swing and a miss.
Well, the Nationals are willing to give up a run right here. The infield is playing back. Anything really other than right back to the pitcher, Zimmerman, or to third base. Zach Cozart will be able to come on home. So very important right here for Brandon Phillips to put the ball in play.
Last year, if you remember, the Reds season turned around and they got their wheels back on track when Phillips moved into the leadoff spot. When he did, he said, my philosophy, what Dusty told me to do and what I tried to do was make contact. Don't swing for the fences. When he was in the number 4 spot earlier in the season, he was trying to pull everything. Well, he's back to that mode now. There's the hitting streak that he's had, and staves that one with a foul ball. He has 2 hits in each of his last 4 games. So he's back thinking contact.
Now this is the stay alive mode for Brandon Phillips. The aggressive swing was the first one you saw. The second swing, he's trying to take the right field. Now he knows that he's got to put that ball in play somewhere.
0-2. Line to right, curving, it'll go foul.
Remarkably enough for Brandon Phillips this year, his batting average on an 0-2 count, an incredible 400. That's a very small sample size, only 2 of those, 2 base hits in 5 attempts. But even with 2 strikes, he's a .250 hitter and has driven in 4 runs in situations like this.
Up high for a ball. We talked about Roger Bernardina being an original Montreal player. So was Brandon. Phillips was one of the favorite players of Frank Robinson, the Reds Hall of Famer. Robinson did not want to trade him to Cleveland when they made the initial deal to Cleveland. This one bounced to short. That'll get a run in. Productive out. The Reds get a run in and lead it 1-0. That'll get the sellout crowd's hands together. Get a lead. The Reds do it. And here's the Reds right fielder, Jay Bruce.
Well, at the minimum, that's what you wanted to get out of this inning is one run. You get the first couple of runners on base. You move them over. And as you say, George, get them over, get them in. And you have to make contact right there now. A little better matchup tonight for Jay Bruce than he was last night against Gio Gonzalez.
Jay just under 400, 396 for his last 13 games, and that's got his average over 300 for the season. Leads the Reds with 23 homers. There's your man Gio.
Yeah, they saw enough of him.
Gio. Bona fide all-star caliber pitcher that the Nationals brought over from Oakland.
115 pitches in 5 innings. Not exactly the example of efficiency. But he got the Nationals what they needed last night.
Bruce 1 for 8 against Zimmerman. That won a home run. The one thing that you'll notice if you watch the Nationals pitch, they are aggressive. They'll pitch inside and they'll work fast. Every one of them. Takes a little off, misses on the outside corner. Did he go? Bruce battles back 2-2. Todd Frazier on deck for Cincinnati. So from 0-2, Bruce has worked it back full as the breaking ball misses.
Well, if you're Jordan Zimmerman, you're thinking, here I am facing a left-handed hitter, a very powerful hitter, a guy who's on fire right now. Am I going to give him anything good to hit? I've got a young player, right-handed hitter on deck in Todd Frazier. I'm not going to give Bruce too much to hit right here. Oh, breaking ball.
Breaking ball clips the outside corner. Jay Bruce says can't be. Eric Cooper says it was. Reds get a run in. Lead it 1-0. We're headed to the second.
I called in today about noon, and I said this isn't working. I'm hurting. I'm in pain. I'm not healthy right now, and as much as I want to help the team, I'm hurting the team. I'm not taking competitive at bats, and they're actually going the wrong way.
The game storylines brought to you by Elk & Elk, serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. A stand-up guy, Chris, and as he always does, Scott Rowland answers the call to explain it. As Todd Frazier will get the start at third tonight, but for Dusty Baker, this, it's the big elephant in the room. When the year started, you knew that if the Reds were going to be all they could be offensively, you needed Scott Rowland to give you not 150 games, maybe 130, and be productive in those 130, and now that's in question again.
Well, it is, George, but the problem is that you knew what you had with Scott Rowland. He had off-season shoulder surgery, or at least had at the very end of the season last year. And shoulder surgery, even if it's minor, is still a big thing, especially when you're an older player. I think there's a lot of baseball left for Scott Rowland. Too early to write the season off right now, that's for certain. But I think that the Reds are doing the right thing and getting him out of there and getting somebody who's healthy in, who, especially if Scott feels like he can't help the ball club.
There are two sides of it. First, the Rowland side, and that is he doesn't feel he's capable of producing right now. And the second side is you don't want to injure it even more. So if you get off now, maybe you'll take the short 2-week stint and come back and hopefully be healthier and ready to contribute again. And that's certainly what Walt Jocketty and Dusty Baker are hoping for.
Well, here's the guy at the plate that the Reds really need to be able to handle. He has been the hammer for the Washington Nationals. You see what he's done on the season. What he did last night, 2 for 4, a couple of runs batted in, a double. Likes to get his arms extended, likes to whip that ball down and out over the plate.
And we talk about Rowland's injury. It was the same story for Adam LaRoche last year. He got shelled with labrum surgery on his shoulder, missed the year. They didn't know whether he'd be back this year. And the plan was to shift Michael Morse to the outfield. Morse is on the disabled list. They hope to get him back next month to be productive offensively. But he has killed the Reds. Backhanded by Cozart. Long throw. How about that? Wow. A Zach attack from short. Cozart, brilliant play in the hole. Gets LaRoche at first, and that prevents the leadoff hitter from being on.
I wonder if Davey Johnson is sitting in that Washington National dugout saying, up. I remember a number 11 who used to make a play like that.
You're right. In fact, he said yesterday, he talked about, I like your club and I really like this kid at short.
Yeah.
You were in Washington, Chris. He made some fine plays in Washington. That was a dandy.
The more you see him play, the more you like him.
So 1 away, and here's Bryce Harper. Harper had an 0 for last night. The only thing he hit was himself. Bounced his bat off the runway down towards the clubhouse. Took stitches in his left eyebrow, but he's back in the lineup today. Talking to him before the game, he said, yeah, I learned something.
Well, I'm not so sure that he's ever going to be able to cap his intensity. He's intense in a good way, though. I don't think he's a selfish player. I think that he's just a young guy that is feeling his way through, and he saw everybody else in the hit parade last night, and he was left on the sidelines and didn't like it.
1 ball, 1 strike from Latos.
He was really over swinging last night, too, and which is something the Washington National people tell us has not happened very much. Now, as far as his eye and that patch over his eye, the Band-Aid right there, the 10 stitches that he had, 2 on the inside, 8 on the outside, it didn't bother him in BP. He hit one out of the stadium in batting practice today. He hit it right down the right field line over the Washington Nationals bullpen, and it went out on the concourse and bounced out of the ballpark.
Word travels fast. After the first 8 days, he was hitting .571 off fastball. So he's getting a steady diet of breaking balls right now.
Why not?
2-2. In the air to left. Long run towards the corner. Ludwig. Ryan's got it. 1 step from the wall. Hey, hitting the road. We'll take Fox Sports Ohio's coverage of the Reds games with you this season. Subscribe to MLB.tv today to see every Reds out-of-market game live online and your favorite devices in HD quality. Visit Reds.com to order and get more details. MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. Well, I never realized how valuable that is and how impressive it is, Chris. It's not being with you guys all the time now. You can get tonight's game. You can get yesterday's game. If you didn't see Bryce Harper's debut, you could go watch it. Fantastic. Here's Danny Espinosa. The numbers tell the story. The switch hitter struggling at 193 with a couple of homers and 4 knocked in. One of those homers came last night. His homer in the third made it 6-0. It looked like the Nationals were going to run away and hide. The Reds had chances after that but couldn't convert. You know, that Cozart play, especially in light of the last start that Matt Latos had, and I talked to him yesterday about it, and you were there, Chris, when he started off with the bases loaded in the first inning. He said, I worked all in my pregame warm-ups in the bullpen out of the windup, and then bingo, all of a sudden I'm from the stretch. He said that wrecked me. And it's so important for big, tall, lanky pitchers to get into a groove, and he was not able to do that. He survived that first inning, but especially for big guys, it's important, isn't it?
It actually takes big guys. Normally, George, generally speaking, there are major exceptions, obviously, to this, but most hard-throwing power pitchers are better as the season goes on, and the same thing for in a ball game. They're better as the game goes on if they can get out of their first inning.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Espinosa. Got him. And Danny knew that on the inside corner. So he ends the first 2 innings in identical fashion. A strikeout looking. Here comes Frazier. May have lost her starting nose tackle for the season in minicamp. Find out how this affects the Bengals and every other team in the AFC North. Plus, you can chat with Hall of Famer, the real McCoy, Hal McCoy, during tonight's game in our Game Connect feature. It's all on FoxSportsOhio.com. Back at Great American Ballpark, here's Todd Frazier. If you joined us late, Frazier's in at third. Scott Rowland on the disabled list just prior to the game. The Reds called up Mike Costanzo from the minor leagues to take his roster spot. Todd has been brilliant as a pinch hitter. Overall, he's at 364. Chris, there's been a difference, though, whether he starts or comes in the game later.
Oh, you're right about that. And the Reds have a number of players like that. He is pretty much lights out as a pinch hitter. 5 for 6. That computes to an .833 batting average. Not so good as a starter in the low 180s. And he goes down with 3 pretty good pitches right there from Zimmerman.
Breaking ball will get him here.
Yeah, that was a good morning, good afternoon, and good night at bat for Frazier.
So Todd's retired, and here's Ryan Ludwig. Ryan in at 183 overall. Did have a base hit and a run batted in last night. You would hope for production from third and production from left, and when you zero in on the Reds' offensive woes, those two areas have provided a limited amount of offense. They need better production from both of those positions. Fastball on the upper end of the strike zone. Well, already just about everybody's barking at the Eric Cooper strike zone.
So, so everything's normal.
That's right.
He'll get you going.
What are his numbers, Chris?
Well, he's a guy last year whose number, George, was 64.38. That's a high end of calling a lot of strikes. This year he's a little tidier, 61.71.
Now, would you like to pitch on his days of umpire?
Last year.
That's a bouncer. Zimmerman bobbles it twice and will have no play. Oh, Ludwig will be on. Base hit.
He did this last night, turned it into an out when he bobbled it, juggled it, and was able to tag out Brandon Phillips, who snuck off third base. This time, not so lucky. The ball doesn't come down right in his glove, and he's got no play on Ludwig.
Ole. Took a wicked hop right before it got to him, if you can see it on that first replay. Zimmerman gives you Gold Glove caliber down at third. So there's one away, and here's Hannigan. He's been on fire of late, over 300 for the last 2 weeks. Big aggressive swing there, and it's strike one.
Well, he takes a lot of pitches, Ryan Hannigan does, and the scouting report on him is that he does take a lot of pitches. So he figures in this at bat, he's going to throw me a first pitch fastball. I'm going to go ahead and rip at it. So just every once in a while you'll see him guess right and get himself a nice swing.
Setting up inside. That just misses inside. Anybody, he's sure had some success against this guy.
Well, there aren't too many out there that have, but he is 5 for 8 lifetime. One of those hits a double against Jordan Zimmerman.
In the left, it's catchable. Bernardina is there. Roger will glove it. Backtrack into the bag will be Ludwig, and there's 2 away, and that'll bring up Matt Latos.
Zimmerman will throw the regular 4 pitches. He's not one of these guys, and neither is Matt Latos, actually, that has fallen into the trap of trying to figure out how to throw a cutter. Fastball, slider, curveball, changeup. This year, he's throwing more fastballs than he did last year, and he's getting a lot more ground balls as a result.
Peers in for a sign. Fastball away is what they want against the Reds pitcher. Strike one. Pop foul and out of play. Down low for a ball, 1 and 2. A run, 2 hits for the Reds. Cincinnati's run scoring on a ground out by Brandon Phillips in the first after a leadoff hit by Cozart. That's a call, strike 3. 3 strikeouts for Zimmerman. He'll be up third when we return. ended the first 2 innings the right way, Chris.
Well, one thing he's able to do tonight, George, is throw to his glove side part of the play with that fastball. He's had both strikeouts over there, once of Zimmerman, once of Danny Espinosa. He was explaining to me in spring training that the key for him to get that ball to the first base side of home plate is get good extension, get way out over his left leg, reach for the plate, and don't cut that delivery off short. And so far, he's been just about perfect when he's tried to get it in there.
Funny how things go, Chris. You know, this offseason, the Nationals were looking for a bona fide starter. So were the Reds. The Nationals talked to San Diego about Latos. The Reds talked to Oakland. Walt Jocketty talked to Billy Beane in Oakland about Gio Gonzalez. And as it turned out, Gonzalez wound up in Washington. Latos wound up in Cincinnati. Here's Rick Ankiel. And by the way, both the Nationals and the Reds talked with Rick Ankiel this offseason. Walt Jocketty, of course, had Rick in St. Louis. And when they were looking for somebody that might give him a little bit of pop in the outfield, and of course, you know, he brings you brilliant defense. The Reds signed Ryan Ludwig, and Rick signs with Washington. And Keel at 274, a couple of homers. Didn't get all of this one. Who's going to take charge? Stubbs will, and there's one away. And that'll bring up Wilson Ramos, the catcher.
That's a perfect example of when you want to go inside, you want to make sure that you don't leave it out over the plate. And Keel put a real good swing on that pitch. But the location of the pitch with Latos getting it right in on his hands, even though Ryan Hannigan wants it outside, that ball's inside. Right on the inside corner. Latos actually didn't like it because he missed his spot, but he ended up okay. Don't miss out over the center of the plate either way.
And that's really where you want to go after Ankiel, up and in.
Yeah.
That's the, if he has a hole in his swing, that's where it is. Here's the catcher. Wilson in at 259. Last night had a base hit. Zimmerman will follow. Two teams that have pitched very well in this early part of the season, and each of them has struggled offensively. Great to talk to Jim Lett, the former Red operative. He was a player, a coach, a manager in the Reds minor league operation, now the bullpen coach here in Washington. 24 years with the Reds, and now in his 40th year of baseball. The Kentucky native who followed the Wildcats all the way to the national championship. He played baseball at Kentucky, West Virginia high school star. And Jim said, look, let's give credit where credit is due. He said this has been a slow process developing. He said Davey's done a brilliant job bringing along some of these young players, but give Jim Riggleman credit too, because he set the mold on this club and got things going in the right direction, had them believing in themselves early in the year last year. And the bottom fell out after he left. Riggleman, of course, now with the Reds as their Double-A manager.
In fact, he had Costanza when he started the season off, the young left-handed hitting third baseman that the Reds have purchased a contract of tonight to take over for Scott Rowland at third.
Missing on the inside for a strike. Costanzo's rocketed through the system and finds himself here in Cincinnati now, taking over for Scott Rowland's roster spot. Here's Desmond, who struck out swinging first time up. He'll follow Ramos and Zimmerman. Desmond, fine young player. And Ramos will take a walk.
A little bit of a mental hiccup right there for Matt Latos. You get the number 8 hitter up there. Of course, you're followed by the pitcher in the National League, and you put him on base, so you set it up perfectly now for Zimmerman to do what he probably does best as a hitter, which is being able to lay a bunt down. He's a good athlete. He was a 3-sport athlete in Wisconsin. Set a high school record for receptions as a football player, as a wide receiver. It's all set to go to college, big-time college, and ended up signing with the Nationals.
Frazier charging at third. That's fouled off. Nationals are last in the league and last in all of baseball in sacrifices. They got one last night, only their 10th of the year. The Reds already have 18.
You know, I'm a believer, George. Once you get a strike on a pitcher in a situation like this, now you try to make it absolutely as tough as you possibly can to get that bunt down. That first pitch was pretty much right down Broadway, 92. Now if you're Matt Latos, you want to dial it up a little bit.
Strike one, showing bunt again. This one's fair. Votto will look at second, take the out at first. Tom Seaver said it about as well as you could. He said, I'll give a pitcher or whoever else wants to sacrifice one pitch. If they don't get it down on the first pitch, which will be a fastball down the middle, I'm going to punch them out.
Believe me, I tried it against Seaver, and it was a tough thing to do. I fouled the first pitch back off him. The next one was a slider. The third pitch was up underneath my chin, and it was not an easy task because he would start snorting because you could almost tell. I gave you your chance. Now here I'm coming after you. And that's really the way it ought to be. A lot of these guys don't handle the bat all that well. You can get a punch out right there instead of a runner now in scoring position.
Here's Desmond with a runner in scoring position and 2 away. We talked about Brandon Phillips coming through the Montreal organization right before Ian Desmond. And Frank Robinson had a very impressive relationship with both of them. Desmond, he's been a mentor to, as has Barry Larkin. Larkin has done everything he could to help Desmond mature as a player. In fact, when the Reds trained in Sarasota, Ian went to high school there. Numerous times he came to the ballpark to watch the Reds. One day he had a chance to meet Larkin, and he also had a chance to meet Nomar Garciaparra when the Red Sox came north to play. And as Davey Johnson has said and told Ian, you could be a Barry Larkin type of player. You have the athletic ability and the drive and determination. And you know Barry's going to the Hall of Fame this year. No balls, 1 strike. That's strike 2. And the same story for Brandon Phillips. While Frank Robinson was a big booster of Desmond in the minor leagues, and of course Robinson was the first manager of the Nationals in Washington. The first time we went to Washington, when Brandon had just come over from the Indians, he called over and wanted Brandon to come visit him in his managerial office at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He said, look, you got a second chance, take advantage of it. And Brandon promised he would, and boy, he sure has. And now Frank's probably calling him and saying, you're going to send me some of that money from that 6-year extension. By the way, Chris, congratulations to number 20. Frank Robinson. They had a statue unveiled for him last week in Baltimore. Well deserved. In fact, Desmond has changed his number from 6 to 20 in honor of the Reds Hall of Famer Frank Robinson. Here's the 0-2. Well, the Nationals over the last few days have been looking for offense, and they've been very cautious both on an offensive and defensive standpoint about pitch selection and about location. You saw Ryan Hannigan set up away and then come in. He'll change his location just so nobody will give away a sign. Think they steal signs as often as they did in your day now, Chris?
I think they try to, George, and I think that they've got a lot of help, electronic help, not live in the ball game, but I mean guys watching video under the stadium in a room filled with video monitors. You've got a whole team of interns looking at every pitch everybody throws all year long, trying to figure out one little edge, trying to get that edge, trying to find out if a pitcher tips his pitches one way or another. Maybe he flares his glove on one delivery, maybe he curls his finger on another, maybe he holds his lips one way on a curveball and doesn't on a fastball. Those are all the things that now you can do with the intense video that is out there that never was even as recently as 15 years ago.
You can use video for a lot of different things, and that's one of them. And the best organizations find a way of doing that. 2 balls, 2 strikes. With 2 away, the runner off second. That's bounced to short. Tricky hop. Cozart has it. Look at that footwork. He's something at short. Barry was something at short too. And when we return, Davey Johnson talks about the Hall of Famer managed here in Cincinnati.
Well, you know, I've been asked questions, who is the best player that I ever managed? And my answer is always Barry Larkin. He was a complete player. I mean, played one of the leading positions on the field as far as I'm concerned, the shortstop. I mean, he could hit anywhere from 1 to 3. Stole bases whenever you needed him. Great defensively, led by example. You know, he had a great year for me, MVP, and I can't think of a better person to be inducted in the Hall of Fame than Barry Larkin.
Can't say anything better than that, can you, Chris?
I'll tell you, he was always about Barry Larkin, about how great he was even at the time he played. And, you know, it's quite an honor because Davey Johnson has managed a whole lot of great players. And to be singled out as the best player ever to play for Davey Johnson, that's something.
That year he was talking about was 95, of course, a brilliant year. Davey was a manager from 93 through 95. And he alluded to that in evaluating Bryce Harper, too. That's a strikeout of Cozart. That's 4 strikeouts for Jordan Zimmerman. And he said, and the one thing that he remembered about Barry very clearly, you and I asked him a question. I remember one day we had him on, and there was a big debate. You know, the Reds didn't have a leadoff hitter, and he said, well, let me ask you a question. He said, Barry's my best number 1 hitter, my best number 2 hitter, my best number 3 hitter, so you pick where I should lead him off, bat him second or hit him third. And he was the best that the Reds had in those spots. Heading to the Hall of Fame, the pride of Cincinnati, Barry Larkin. Here's Stubbs. Reached on a fielder's choice, first time up. Zimmerman has it, and there's 2 away. Hey, Reds fans, if a Reds home run hits the Toyota sign during tonight's game, Charlotte McCafferty from Burlington, Kentucky, proud owner of 2012 Camry, will win this beautiful new Tundra on display at Great American Ballpark. Register for your chance to win at an upcoming game by seeing your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Great crowd. Great to have you with us. George Grant, Chris Welsh up in the booth. Jim Day, Jeff Pecoro downstairs, keeping you up to date on everything that's happening off the field. And they updated you. Hope you were with us for Reds Live before the game today. Telling us right before the game started, JD and Pick informing us that Scott Rowland placed on the disabled list. Mike Costanza called up in his place, Rowland with those recurring shoulder difficulties. Also up in the booth with us as usual, the unreverend Jesse Jackson. Great to have Chris Kalo back.
Supplying us with all those stats and notes.
Chris was with us here in Cincinnati, went down to Pittsburgh, worked there, and wised up and came back to Cincinnati. Strick, good to be back with you up here. Tim Strickler, our high home camera. Down in the truck, Josh Hall, our producer director Roy Alfers. Roy back in the truck. Dream Weaver back, and by the way, congratulations to Dream. His daughter Lauren had an Olympic qualifying time. She's a swimmer down at Duke. Boy, Chris, we've been following her since she was just a youngster. It's great to see all she's accomplished.
Going to the Olympic trials.
Not bad at all.
Wow.
Lotto inside outs. He may have an infield hit, and no throw by Desmond. How about that? Broken bat. But he took something and made it out of nothing as a fastball got him in on the hands.
Well, the shift giveth and the shift taketh away. And this time, Joey Votto just trying to make contact right here. He knows that there is a big gap over there on the left side of the infield because and like most teams, they'll shift Joey Votto on the infield around like he's going to pull the ball. And that just goes to show you the benefit of putting the ball in play as opposed to striking out.
Nothing good happens when you strike out. You get the bat on the ball, you never know. Here's Brandon, his ground out plated the Reds' run back in the first. Dreamweaver's daughter Lauren down at Duke University. And our condolences to John Browdy. The Duke Blue Devils beat Syracuse in the NCAA lacrosse today. So The orange heading home. There goes Votto. Fouled off. Don't think it was a hit and run. I think that was just a straight steal and fouled off by Phillips.
It sure did look like just a straight steal, and I think that Dusty Baker realizes that his ball club, when you face this Nationals pitching staff, you're going to have a tough time in one inning piecing together 2 or 3 hits in a row. So you've got to figure out a way to get him in scoring position. And if Votto gets thrown out, so what? You got Brandon Phillips to lead the inning off next inning.
No balls, 2 strikes. Got him. 5 strikeouts for Zimmerman. The Reds will strand another. They stranded 3 through 3. Bernardino leads it off, and we return. Just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one. Nice sound, huh? Look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. From Great American Ballpark, time for our AT&T trivia question of the night. With whom does Davey Johnson share the record for most home runs in a season by a second baseman? Back in his years in Atlanta, he was a power hitting second baseman. I remember, I think he had 43. I think 42 of them came as a second baseman. Will they get it there in time? And they tag him. Well, Latos couldn't get the ball out of the glove. Joey was sitting and waiting, and finally he tapped the shoulder and gets Bernardino. Nice recovery, but almost a huge mistake.
Well, Bernardino's a flyer, plus he comes out of the left side of the batter's box, and you better make your decision up early on. Good play by Latos to pursue that ball. And those long arms come in handy.
Oh, great job.
It's about a 38-inch wingspan right there.
And that's a tough call for Marty Foster. He was screened by Votto, and he got the right call. What you're saying is if that was Daniel Ray Herrera, he wouldn't have the arm strength to get him, right?
You're right about that. I should say 38-inch sleeve length, maybe 40 for Latos. I mean, after all, he is 6 feet 6 inches tall. Long legs, long arms.
Here's Zimmerman, struck out looking first time up. You know who Latos reminds me of? A right-handed version of Joe McGrain. Remember the Cardinal pitcher?
Yeah.
Now with MLB Network, but the way he stands, the way he addresses the catcher, and you know, his facial look-alike too. Joe, outstanding left-hander for the Cardinals, among others. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Every time I think of Daniel Ray Herrera, I remember that day in St. Louis when Shaq was there, and we took a picture of Daniel Ray standing next to Shaq. We talk about the long and the short of it.
The plane.
That was great. 1-2. Breaking ball outside. Chris, you watch Matt Latos all spring. We've seen him off and on the last couple of years. How good can this guy be?
Well, he can be very, very, very good, George. Top of the rotation type of pitcher, obviously. But it's all really for him being able to control what's between the ears. And I think early on he just got into a mode where he was trying to do too much. He was trying to justify that he was worth sending 4 players to San Diego to get in return. And sometimes that kind of thing plays on a guy. I mean, after all, you're not just a physical robot out there. You've got you've got emotions, you've got expectations of yourself, and he wanted to win 20 games in his first outing. I think now that you're seeing him relaxed, you're seeing a pitcher that can dial it up to 96 routinely, has a hammer of a breaking ball, as you saw that slider right there. And he's an intense worker. You know, he's had a reputation for having some moments of immaturity, but that's going to go away. I think he's a good teammate.
3-2 to Zimmerman. Missing inside. There's a walk. Second walk issued by the Reds right-hander. So 1 out, 1 on, and here's Adam LaRoche, who was robbed of a hit on a brilliant play by Cozart in the second.
I'll tell you, I think that Matt Latos is really going to learn something being over here in Cincinnati. Number one, he's going to learn a lot from Brian Price. And number two, I think he's got a chance to learn a lot from Johnny Cueto, who, you said it last night in a perfect way, Johnny Cueto all of a sudden gets it, where he pitches at about 90% effort. And then all of a sudden, when he needs that 99% effort fastball at 95, he still has it there. Latos has got the ability to do that too. Throw harder when he wants to. And that is a very hard thing to teach any kind of pitcher. In fact, so far, Latos has done that. And there are websites that track this, believe it or not. But Matt Latos this year, when he has a 2-strike fastball, it averages 1.2 miles an hour faster than non-2-strike fastballs, which means when he wants to dial it up, he can rear back and fog it in there a little bit harder. That's a tough thing to teach any pitcher.
And those numbers are very similar for Cueto.
Absolutely right. But that's the biggest thing for me with Cueto the last couple of years, is that he's learned how to pitch at 90% effort. And I remember reading one time when I was a kid how Tom Seaver did that.
Well, you did that too, didn't you?
I did, but my 90% was 70 miles an hour, and my 99% was 79. It's all relative.
Maybe there's hope. If Jamie Moyer can come back, maybe there's hope. Saw it off into left. That's going to drop for a hit. Big turn. They got a chance to get him back at second. Big turn from Zimmerman, and if Ludwig had it loaded in right away, they might have had him.
I'm not sure where Ryan Zimmerman thought he was going. That play was happening right in front of him, unless he thought he just might be able to pick the pocket of Ryan Ludwig. And when Ludwig picked the ball up and fires it in there, Brandon Phillips nearly gets the tag on him in time.
Just did get the hand in.
Boy, a good look at our Exmo replay, courtesy of Performance Honda. Good camera work there.
So first and second with 1 out. And here's Bryce Harper. Hit a fly ball to left first time up. Harper 0 for 5 last night and 3 strikeouts. 0 for 1 tonight. "19 years of age and in the major leagues." And you've heard a lot about him over the last few years.
I think he ought to be a freshman in college, right? With an aluminum bat.
He had an aluminum bat last night. Maybe he wouldn't have stitches on his eyebrow.
He knocked himself out.
Breaking ball misses. Reds have had a great tradition of 19-year-olds as well. Maybe the greatest, Don Gullett. And great to see Gully's doing well. Had a medical procedure on his leg and he's feeling better. He and Kathy down in Kentucky building a new home. Gene Bennett telling us that he's feeling better and doing well. Glad to see Gino and Loretta are doing well too. Down low.
A key pitch right here for Matt Latos. Throwing a fastball for a strike, couple of breaking balls that he's missed, and so Harper now is going to be sitting on a fastball. Good spot for a changeup if you can control one, throw it to your spot.
2 balls, 1 strike. From the stretch, Latos.
That's the pitch he struck him out on, or he threw to him earlier in the ball game, had him fly to left field. They had chased ball 4. You know the young man really wants to get it done, and he will be a little more aggressive than a 10-year veteran up there. But he's got a good swing, tremendous bat speed. For a young man, he's got tremendous pitch recognition. 3-2 count here.
2 fastballs. Did he back it up with another? Protected, fouls it off. Bryce has a sense of the game and a history of the game. When you see the 3 and the 4, 34, even though he never really had a chance to see him play, he was idolized Mickey Mantle, idolized Ken Griffey Jr. too.
Well, you know, he grew up a big Reds fan. Even though he grew up in Nevada, his father was a huge Reds fan, a fan of the Big Red Machine. Telling me before the ball game why he was a Reds fan and how he loved being in Cincinnati, even though he's never been here before.
Here's the 3-2. Setting up inside this time is Hannigan. Got it in on him enough. Fly ball with 1 away to center. Stubbs has it. Well, how did Latos finally get him? Show us, Chris.
All right, well, he went through a lot of pitches to finally do it. Started him off with a fastball at 93 miles an hour. Our pitch by Mazda. And he swings and misses late. Then he misses with a couple of breaking balls. Latos does, trying to get Bryce Harper to chase. Throws another fastball inside, and now he's got to come high heat right by you. Now we have a full count. A foul off, protected swing, and eventually gets a fastball in. Harper can't get the sweet part of the bat on it, and that's a lot of effort to get Harper out, but he'll take it with a couple of runners on, a harmless fly to center.
So 2 away, and here's Espinosa, struck out looking first time. He got him on a fastball in for that strikeout to end the second.
Yeah, that's the guy I was thinking of.
Same spot.
And you can see the difference in swing right there between Harper and Espinosa. I mean, it's unfair, actually, to compare these two players because Harper is just an extreme talent. But that fastball is just right by Danny Espinosa.
Yogi Berra always said, Chris, this game is 50% ability and 90% mental, right?
Perfectly placed chin high fastball there. You saw Ryan Hannigan kind of almost standing behind home plate saying, all right, hit me up here, way up here.
That's it.
Well, all you do when you swing at that is create a cool breeze.
Hannigan like another coach on the field. No balls, 2 strikes. Same spot.
Why not?
One and 2. Zimmerman off second. LaRoche off first with 2 away. Here's the 1-2.
Almost tried to lean into that one.
Sure looked like it, didn't it? Trent Jewett, the first base coach, down to check in with his runner at first. Bo Porter down at third, checking the defense behind Zimmerman at second. Zimmerman trying to inch every foot of that lead off second. Here's the 2-2.
Well, you got Rick Ankiel on deck, and I think the thinking for Davey Johnson when he arranges his lineup is he puts Ankiel there as a little bit of protection for Danny Espinosa. Ankiel has some pop. He's a little bit more dangerous hitter, and thinking that if pitcher looks in the on-deck circle and sees Ankiel, he's going to throw more fastballs, release more strikes to Danny Espinosa. But right now he's been late on him.
2-2. Pie will go full 3-2. That'll mean the runners will be off and running. So a base hit, almost no chance to throw out Zimmerman moving from second. And almost assuredly that'd get LaRoche to third. Espinosa's battled back from 0-2. Coming back inside. And it's high. 2 walks in the inning, 3 walks on the night, and Ankiel will get his chance against Latos.
Well, I really like the matchup better for Latos against Espinosa than Ankiel. Ankiel saw just a couple of pitches his first time up, got a fastball that he got in on him just a little bit. But he's a good fastball hitter. And he's got some dangerous pop.
Rick fly to center first time up. Well, pitch efficient the first 3 innings, but now 26 pitches in this inning. He's got Latos approaching the 70 pitch mark here in the 4th. Trying to hit that sweet spot against Ankiel again, up and in. He finally gets a call strike. Zimmerman walked, LaRoche singled, and Espinosa walked. Bases are loaded for Latos against Ankiel. Good movement.
That's how you argue a call without saying a thing.
One, 2. See Hannigan? He knew where he wanted it. He knew the sweet spot, and it's just inside by that 3 inches that made the difference. Two. Popped up. Is there going to be room? Frazier giving chase. It'll be on the top of the dugout. No place to put him. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Got it. Well, they went up, and finally gets him down. A strikeout for Matt Latos. That's 4 on the night. Reds still lead it 1-0.
The most extensive Reds highlights you're going to get. You'll hear from the manager first before anyone, and much more. It's Reds Live postgame presented by King's Honda and the King's Auto Mall. Jim Day with you down here by the Reds dugout. The news of the day, if you're just joining us, Scott Rowland put on the disabled list with a strained left shoulder. Now, because he was put on the DL so late in the afternoon, the guy that they called up, Mike Costanzo, just got here this last half inning. And George and Chris, it's one of my favorite moments in baseball that I just witnessed. When he walked up the steps into a major league dugout for the first time, his eyes were wide open, and you could just see the look on his face like, wow, a full stadium. I am in the big leagues. When he gets into a game, it will be his major league debut. And George, you can probably talk about this more, but there's a guy that took the long way to get to the major leagues and did it the hard way.
Going up through 3 generations of leagues this year alone. Costanzo, good job, JD. By the way, JD, you and Jeff McCord do such a great job of canvassing the clubhouse. And you know that everybody's been wondering, as Jay Bruce steps to the plate to lead off the 4th inning, you know, it's clear that this team needs Scott Rowland to be healthy offensively and in the lineup, but it certainly is going to be a topic of discussion among these players, isn't it?
Well, there's no question, George. And again, Scott Rowland told us in spring training that last year he leads by example, and he couldn't do that when he's on the field. So it's going to be tough, obviously not being on the field, but you know, that opens the door for guys like Joey Votto and Jay Bruce. Recently on a road trip when the team was going through a skid, he didn't call Scott Rowland into his office, Dusty Baker. He called in Jay Bruce and Joey Votto, and he said, I don't want to hear silence in the clubhouse. I want to hear the music blaring. I want the clubhouse to be loose, and you guys need to lead the charge. So perhaps a changing of the guard here, where Votto and Bruce, he wants them to be the leaders.
Bruce sends this to center. Over his ankle, he's got it. Thanks, JD. Great job as always. That's why you and Jeff McCord are always on top of it inside that Reds and the visiting clubhouse as well. JD will be back with Reds Live post game, hopefully smiling side of the scoreboard when this one wraps up. Bruce lines out. 1 away. Latos with a 1-0 lead. Here's Todd Frazier, struck out first time up, waves at that one for strike 1. You know, Chris, the one thing you can say, and I think and this was Walt Jocketty's plan from the beginning, it's very clear. Here's the 0-1. Same spot, same result, 0-2. I think he brought Scott Rowland here to help the young Reds learn how to win and learn how to conduct themselves. And it's very clear that Joey Votto's grown into his role, Jay Bruce growing into his role. Some of these younger players are much more prepared to be leaders on this club now than they were 2 years ago.
Well, it's important that you learn how to play baseball the right way, and you will learn it the right way if you watch Scott Rowland. Just by following him around and doing what he does, you'll figure out what the right thing to do is, how to prepare to win. I don't think Frazier's seen one of those sliders yet.
6 strikeouts for Zimmerman, 2 away, and here's Ludwig. And the best team I've seen this year is the Texas Rangers. They have everything. Yeah. Great pitching, an unbelievable lineup. By the way, Josh Hamilton hit another home run today. But the best pitching I've seen in our league so far is this Washington National staff. And they don't have Chin-Ming Wong back yet. They don't have their closer Drew Storen back yet. It's a team that can get even better. The big question you have is with Jordan Zimmerman coming off Tommy John surgery from 2 years ago and Strasburg coming off surgery last year, will they break down? Will they run out of gas in the second half of the season? That'll be a big question that has to be answered for this Nationals team to stay in it in the East. One ball, one strike. Man, gas. Strasburg leads the league with average fastball velocity as a starter. Jordan Zimmerman's been either 3 or 4 for average fastball velocity all season.
Yeah, Zimmerman averages about 93.4.
There's another. Looking. 7 strikeouts for Zimmerman. Last night it was Gio Gonzalez. Tonight it's Zimmerman. Zimmerman due up second when we return. Sports Ohio is being brought to you by JTM Food Group, creating great dishes together with the food service industry for over 30 years. By your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers for over 30 Toyota offers available right now. Visit buyatoyota.com, including mobile. And by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. Reds lead the Nationals 1-0. That came on a Brandon Phillips ground out RBI in the first. And our trivia question: with whom does Davey Johnson share the record for most home runs in a season by a second baseman? Your guess, Chris? Jeff Kent?
How about Rogers Hornsby? I'm 42. Getting smarter, George. I hesitate, and that theatrical pause usually ends up with the answer.
42 in 1922.
That's a lot for back then, isn't it?
You're not kidding. Davey had 43 in 1973, but one of those came as a pinch hitter. So 42 as a second baseman. And remember, he played for Earl Weaver in Baltimore. And he's the same kind of manager Earl was. He believes in offense, doesn't he?
Well, he does. And, of course, Earl Weaver was famous for saying, I'll just wait back and wait for that 3-run home run. Davey Johnson, not quite that anymore anyway, waiting for that 3-run home run, because that's going to be a long time in between homers, especially in Washington with the lineup that he has. But he's always been a mathematician, a guy who's been great with numbers. And he tells a story about one day he went into Earl Weaver's office with a big computer printout, page after page after page. This is long before Moneyball ever came around, and he wanted to show Earl Weaver that what his optimal lineup was with his, and that had Davey Johnson batting way up in the lineup, high. And Earl Weaver took that big pile of papers and threw them in a trash can and told him to get out. I didn't know anything about that story.
This one hit pretty good to center field. Back is Drew Stubbs at the wall, reaching up. He can't get it, and it's gone. Home run number 3 for the catcher for the Nationals, Wilson Ramos. And it's a 1-1 ball game.
Now, that's the one thing that Matt Latos is going to have to get used to pitching in this ballpark, that these balls that are hit that just land over the outreach of an outfielder, whether it's in center field or that short porch in right. In San Diego, that ball doesn't even make it to the warning track, but it's a bye-bye honey pie here at Great American Ballpark.
Great effort by Stubbs. Couldn't bring it back, though, and it's a brand new ball game tied at 1, and here's Zimmerman.
So to complete the story about Davey Johnson, his first year of managing, I went into him with the same idea. I thought I was going to reinvent the game, being a first-year broadcaster, and told him what his optimal lineup might be with the Reds, with on-base percentage guys and so on. And he told me to get the heck out of his office. And I was kind of stunned, and I thought he was angry with me. He went so far as to act like he was angry, and I saw him a couple days later, and he said, hey, been waiting for years to do that because I did the same thing to Earl Weaver. He kicked me out of the office, and finally somebody tried that on me.
He's sure gotten comfortable in his role. I mean, he enjoys managing. He enjoys this time. I was with USA Baseball when he was the Olympic manager and managed in the USA Baseball organization. And that got the itch back to him again. Two balls, two strikes to Zimmerman. And he goes 3-2 to the pitcher. So the pitcher pass. That is the fourth walk of the night allowed by Latos. Hey, celebrate Mother's Day at Great American Ballpark. Bring mom and the family tomorrow to see the Reds take on the Nationals. Get to the ballpark early. Bring mom to the fan zone stage so she can be one of 200 moms to participate in a special Mother's Day pregame parade. Plus, the first 8,000 kids 14 and younger receive a J. Bruce cereal bowl and spoon set presented by New York Life. Make a Sunday a day that mom won't forget. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. So a homer and a walk, nobody out. Here's Desmond.
Well, I called it a mental hiccup back in the third inning when he walked Wilson Ramos with nobody on to start the inning. And then Zimmerman laid down a bunt. That's equally, maybe even more of a mental hiccup right there when you walk the opposing pitcher. I mean, he's a guy, when you line up your lineup, and pitcher and catchers do this before every ball game, you go over the lineup, you have your scouting report, and a pitcher in his mind will think, well, that guy's an out, and that guy's an out. This is a guy I don't want to pitch to with runners on base. So this is a guy I have to get out to start an inning, and so on. But when you get down to the pitcher's spot, that is automatically an out that you have to count on when you're looking to try to get 27 outs in a ball game.
One ball to Desmond, who's 0 for 2, strikeout and a ground out. That's slap foul and out of play. Desmond steps out, checks with Bo Porter, who rolls through some signs for him. Rifle to right center, going back Stubbs. That's going to be clanked off the wall, off the top of the stands. It'll go as a two-base hit, and it'll be second and third. So a homer, a walk, and a double. And now the game not only tied, but the go-ahead runs are in scoring position.
He got a high fastball right into the hot zone of Ian Desmond, right about letter high. And man, does he have some ability to turn on that baby. You know, the home run happens even to a number 8 hitter. Wilson Ramos is extremely strong. And a double happens, but when you walk the pitcher in between, and now you've got a circumstance where you've got second and third, nobody out. Now the meat of the order coming up. Part of it is you're doing by, not really bearing down and throwing strikes to your opposing pitcher. You forget about that now, and then you concentrate on the positive if you're Brian Price. You build them up, you tell them your stuff is good. Make sure you do the same thing now that you did in the first couple of innings, which is hit your spots. Concentrate on what you're doing pitch by pitch.
So Latos will deal with Bernardino, who grounded out and trying to bunt his way on. Matt gloved it, tagged him just before he got to the bag at first. So Rogers 0 for 2.
You had talked earlier about the use of video. It was Roger Bernardino who said he was watching video of Mike Leake and learned that Leake was a sinker ball pitcher, and he said he would eventually wait him out till he got a ball up over the knees and was able to elevate it. That's what happened last night after a long at bat. Fouled off a bunch of pitches. Leake finally got a ball a little bit above the knees, and Bernardino was looking for one to drive.
Behind in the count again. 1 ball to Bernardino. Good speed at second. And Desmond, so trying to throw out a runner, not an easy task for any of the Reds outfielders.
Boy, a little frustrating, I think, there by Matt Latos. He thought at least one of those last 2 pitches were strikes, especially the 1-0 pitch.
That
What
first
happened
pitch,
to that big strike zone for Eric Cooper?
2-0. Down the line, curving towards the corner, heading towards the pole. It'll be 1 row into the seats.
Looking fastball, got it, cheated to get out ahead of it, and got around too early on it.
Two and one. Threads the needle there. That's the spot he wanted, and it's 2-2. Action in the Reds bullpen for the first time tonight. We're here in the 5th inning.
This is what Bernardino did last night. Got 2 strikes on him, battled Mike Leake, had him 3-1 eventually, then went to 3-2, and then fouled off about 4 pitches before he put the ball in play and landed it in the seats.
After a 9-pitch at bat. Center field, Stubbs right in his track. The runner tagging at third. The throw will go to second. They held the runner. Oh, baby, the Reds get a break. Even though it's the pitcher running, the throw went to third. Stubbs had conceded the run would score, so he threw to third. Bo Porter held Zimmerman up.
If we see what Bo Porter does there, see the runner, the Zimmerman, the pitcher starts to go home. He doesn't know ahead of time, and I don't know whether that's Bo Porter's fault by not reminding him pitch after pitch. Hey, line drive or fly ball to center field or anywhere in the outfield, go back to the bag. Zimmerman's first instinct was to go to home. He realized it was caught, and by the time he got back, he couldn't catch up. So get a pitcher running a base pass, you never know what's going to happen.
It's the life of a third base coach. I mean, you tell the guy, tag up on fly ball. I think he just misread it.
He probably told him the pitch before it happened.
Yep.
Like he did every other pitch. So if anything, that ought to breathe a little bit of life into Matt Latos.
Nothing you can do as a third base coach.
No.
Zimmerman got back, but by then it was too late to send him.
Let's hope that's a big play in this ballgame.
See if that can pump the adrenaline for Latos now with 1 away. And Zimmerman to the plate. He struck out and walked his last time up. That's a ball high. Just does hold on it, and it's 2-1. field back for the Reds with 1 away and a 2-1 count. 2-2.
Now that pitch delivered by Matt Latos, a good slider, was the 98th of the night. Now, he was cruising right along. In fact, he didn't have a base runner until 1 out in the 3rd inning, but he has thrown now 55 pitches combined in the 4th inning, last inning, and this inning. So in an inning and a third, he's got 55 pitches under his belt. That's why you've got activity in the bullpen.
2-2. And we'll go full again. And you talk a lot. I mean, you can go deep into a count and still get an out, but when you got 31 in the 4th, 25 already here, those have been pitches under stress with runners in scoring position in a close ball game. Full count, runners lead off. Into right, here comes Bruce. He's got it. And again, Zimmerman. Throw comes way down. Zimmerman was late to get back to tag, and they couldn't send him. The run would have scored. So twice the Nationals could have had a runner home, and twice the Reds get bailed out.
Well, Matt Latos has had a couple of runners on 2nd and 3rd now for 2 consecutive line drives. 1 at Drew Stubbs, 1 at the right fielder, and you see Zimmerman goes to home, goes back, and realizes, uh-oh, I'm just too late.
Don't try this at home, Chris. The life of a pitcher on the base paths.
You know, there are drills for just about every activity in baseball. You can cover first base, you can do bunt defenses, you can do suicide squeeze practices, you hit off a tee, you have bullpen workouts, but there's really nothing that can simulate game situations of running the bases. And where it really shows sometimes here in the National League is when you put a pitcher out there. I mean, he's a great athlete. We've already talked about him being a 3-sport athlete in high school, was going to go to college on a football scholarship. So he's got the physical tools, but just not the in-game experience of how to read a ball, what to do, the instinct of playing a baseball game as a runner.
I mean, both mistakes were a misread off the bat.
Yeah.
So that first step kills you, and then it's too late to do anything.
Maybe what they ought to have him do is just stay on the bat. But too late now with 2 outs. Bo Porter saying, okay, remember what I've been telling you for the last 25 pitches? Throw it out the window. Run on anything right now as soon as you hear the crack of the bat.
The only guy who knows what that feels like is Mark Berry, who's over the Reds' third base coach, who's commiserating. All right, here's Harper after the intentional walk to LaRoche. And this time, unlike in the first inning of his last start when he had the bases loaded and Latos worked from the stretch, he will work from the full windup. In fact, I asked him yesterday, and I watched him in San Diego. Most of the time when he got to a bases loaded situation, he worked from the windup, and he didn't in that game in Pittsburgh. And he said, well, you know, I had worked so much out of the stretch, I think I finally figured it out and I felt comfortable. Well, here he's going to work from the full windup with the bases loaded against Harper, who's 0 for 2. And he's ahead, 0-2. Sellout crowd up on their feet, trying to urge on the Reds and Matt Latos to close this one out. What a battle it's been in this inning for Latos. 0-2 to Harper. Bryce fly to left first time up, fly to center on a 3-2 pitch second time up. Keep it down, says Hannigan. But don't be afraid. He throws it in the dirt. Hannigan smothers it, and it's 2-2. No place to put him. Inning started with a homer, then a walk, a double, and the intentional walk. 2-2. Banged up the middle. Backhanded by Phillips. And a flip. What a play by Brandon Phillips. The Gold Glover behind the back. What a time for it. He robs Harper of a hit and saves 2 runs with this play. Ole, Brandon. Handiwork. They've shown the play time and time again on the big screen here at Great American Ballpark. It's put a smile on his face, Chris, and sure put a smile on Leto's face.
You know, every year it seems like Brandon Phillips comes up with a play where you're tempted to say, I've never seen a better play by a second baseman. He did it last year between the legs as he flipped it to first base. He does it this year behind the back. What really makes this one special is the fact that that was a crucial part of the ball game. That drives a run in, a ground ball up the middle, looked like a base hit. Bryce Harper finally thought he had a base hit in this series, and he's robbed by Brandon Phillips. My, oh my, what a play.
First, he gets to the ball. If it gets by him, it's 2 runs. Secondly, he turns it into an out. Amazing.
You know, there aren't all that many types of plays that could be momentum changers in a ball game, but that is the kind that can happen. I mean, here the way that Leto struggled in that inning, the number of pitches he threw, something like 35 or 36 in the inning, and then you finally get out of it with only 1 run. That was a leadoff home run. It could have really gotten out of hand, and now the Reds have a chance to kind of seize that momentum. They've got to get something going against Ryan Zimmerman.
Well, here's Hannigan, fly ball to left first time up. The only run the Reds have came after a leadoff hit by Cozart in the first. The fielder's choice, a ground out by Votto that got the runner to third, and then Brandon Phillips' infield out made it 1-0. Nationals came back to tie it at 1 on the home run by the catcher Wilson Ramos in the 5th. There's a base hit into right center. So Hannigan continues his hot hitting. He's hit nearly .350 over the last 14 games. And the leadoff hitter's on here in the 5th. And here comes Letos.
Well, this is where Matt Letos really has to help himself. He's right up around 100 pitches. Dusty Baker is going to leave him in the ball game. But he's got a runner at first base, and he knows what he's got to do, which is get the bunt down. He's looked very good putting a bunt down, and he's looked very bad attempting to put a bunt down.
Show and bunt. Strike 1. Well, there are 2 parts to this story. I mean, yesterday Dusty let Mike Leake hit, who's a very good hitting pitcher, and then took him out of the game, not wanting to burn an extra player. So there is a possibility, depending on what happens, that Leake's night could be done. We had 109 pitches.
Well,
either way, it's important to get the bunt down.
It is. Latos has had 3 of them this year already, which is high for him. Last year he only had 5 overall.
No balls, 2 strikes. Do you leave the bunt on?
Well, you really, absolutely you do. Last thing you want him to do is take a half a cut and bound into a double play. So the best thing can happen if you leave the bunt on is that he gets the bunt down and right-handing it goes to second. The worst thing that can happen is that you strike out or pop it up. It'll be the former.
Well, the little things got the Reds a run in the first. Unable to sacrifice here. So goes a strikeout. That'll be credited to Zimmerman, his 8th strikeout of the game.
That's kind of interesting, really, George, because Ryan Zimmerman cost himself at least 1 run by not being able to run the bases properly. And here's Matt Latos costing himself potentially a run by not getting a bunt down. And Zimmerman has been a guy that has had a hard time getting runs scored for him. He is second in the league in the lowest and worst run support given to him by his team. They only average about 2 runs a game.
High in the air to left center field. It's going to stay in the park. Bernardina there. Going halfway is Hannigan. He retreats to first. Now, you said it at the beginning of the day that Zimmerman's probably the best 1-3 pitcher in baseball because of that run support number.
Well, you're looking at the unlucky list right there. The guys that go out there and then they just don't get much in the way of support. And Zimmerman has found that really year after year. For a guy that puts up the kind of peripheral numbers that he does, he ought to have a lot more wins on the board. But he can kind of look at himself tonight and say, well, the guy's only got 1 for me tonight. I could have got to my yearly average by running the bases a little bit better.
Well, Cozart's retired on the fly ball out, and here's Stubbs. Zach is 1 for 3. Cozart singled in the first and later scored. Stubbs reached on a fielder's choice in the first and bounced back to the pitcher. If you weren't with us in the first, Cozart reached on a base hit. Dusty Baker sent Cozart on a 3-2 pitch on a ground ball to the shortstop. Cozart beat the throw to second to stay alive, and then Stubbs beat the throw to first. So the Reds had first and second with nobody out. Votto then grounded to the right side, moved both runners up to second and third, and then Phillips ground out, plated the run. The Reds led it 1-0. The lone run the Reds have. A run, 4 hits for Cincinnati. A run, 3 hits for Washington. Nationals have left 7 on base, the Reds 3. And if you joined us late, the other big news of the day. Right before the game, Scott Rowland was placed on the disabled list with recurring shoulder soreness and brought up from the minor leagues. 28-year-old Mike Costanzo. Costanzo has joined the Reds. He is in uniform and at the ballpark.
Doesn't take him long to get here, does it?
A little longer to go back.
Yeah.
2 balls, 2 strikes. That's why.
They beam him up and then they send him back by pack mule.
You worked that a couple of times, didn't you?
I think you have 72 hours to report back down.
71 and a half. Here I come. There's Mike. Nub to the right side. LaRoche has it and just does get there. That speed to spare. LaRoche almost had his pocket pick. Still tied at 1. Going to the 6th. Boys and Girls Clubs of America, a place where youth can reach their full potential as productive, caring, responsible citizens. To learn more, please visit greatfutures.org/Fox Sports. Ah, yes, this is Jesse Jackson's famous and favorite moment of the night. Tonight's Ohio Lottery Powerball jackpot is now worth $80 million. Drawing is at 11 p.m. tonight. Jesse, get your tickets ready. Jesse, if you win, will you be back tomorrow anyways? No? Okay. Here's Jose Arredondo in from the bullpen to take over for Latos. So as we suspected, Chris, Dusty Baker sent up Latos as a pitcher to get a bunt down, which you would expect him to do. He didn't. The Reds don't advance the runner. His night is done, and here is Arredondo.
Yeah, well, you know, if he didn't get a run in that inning, I guess you can be part to blame yourself if you're Matt Latos. You can second guess Dusty Baker. Uh-oh.
This one hit deep to right. Forget it. That's going to be back and gone. Second time in 2 nights. The switch hitting Danny Espinosa delivers. And mired in a slump that had him under 200. He homered last night, and he homers again tonight. The first pitch from Arredondo planted in right field, and it's a 2-1 lead for Washington.
Man, oh man, oh man. A 190 hitter hits his second and third home runs in this ballpark. And these aren't fence scrapers. That baby is about halfway up the moon deck.
It's 2 runs, 4 hits for Washington, a run, 4 hits for the Reds. And here's Ankiel as Espinosa homers to give the Nationals a lead. Swing and a miss. Ankiel disposed of. You know how good the Reds bullpen has been. They've been miraculous time and time again. Last night was just another example of it. After Mike Leake went 3 innings, gave up 7 hits and 6 runs. They were brilliant, allowing only 1 run in the remaining 6 innings of the night. 6 innings, 5 hits, and 9 strikeouts. Arredondo pitched 2 innings last night and is back again here tonight. Home run baseball last night and tonight for the Nationals, a team that has had difficulty hitting the long ball, but they've done it here at Great American Ballpark. Ramos, 3rd homer of the year, tied the game at 1 back in the 5th. He's 1 for 1 in a walk. Jordan Zimmerman is battled back after Tommy John surgery 2 years ago. And Arredondo's out of the same mold. Swing and a miss. That's back-to-back strikeouts. The one difference, Chris, in the 2 of them is Zimmerman has a wide repertoire of pitches. I mean, last year, Arredondo, 51% of the pitches that he threw were split fingers. That takes wear and tear on your elbow.
It does. Of course, he's got a repaired elbow, so he's got a lot of wear left in it, having had Tommy John surgery, I think, in 2009. Interesting for Arredondo, he took him 1 pitch to give up the lead and only 6 pitches to strike out 2 batters back to back. So either way, he's efficient.
No balls, 1 strike to the pitcher, Jordan Zimmerman. Hey, come for the Reds, stay for more fun. Visit the new exhibition of A Day in Pompeii at Cincinnati Museum Center. Make it a weekend getaway and book your stay at CincinnatiUSA.com. Where will Jim Day be next? Probably getting something to eat right now.
You can book it.
We know where Pick is. He's up here working hard. He already got his food for the night. How many ice creams tonight, Pick? 1. 0-2. Yes, missing. got him. But the Nationals take the lead 2-1. Reds go to work, heading to the bottom of 6. Votto due up. The 2012 Reds team to celebrate history on Sunday, June the 24th at the Reds Hall of Fame induction gala presented by CincyFavorites.com. This year's gala will feature appearances and remarks by 2012 inductees Sean Casey, Danny Dreesen, and more. For more information on the 2012 Reds Hall of Fame induction gala, Sunday, June 24th, call 513-765-7921 or visit RedsMuseum.org today. What a weekend that's going to be. Chris, you and I both have talked to Case in recent days, and he is so stoked.
Oh. I mean, he's stoked anyway, but when that weekend comes around, man, you're going to see some high-energy Sean Casey. I can't wait.
Mandy and the kids are coming to town, his mom and his dad, family. I think Frank Porco, his coach, is coming too. It's going to be pretty special, and a lot of his Reds friends will be here. Here's Joey. Votto bounced out in the first, but a productive out. He moved the runners over to second and third. Reached on an infield hit in the third. We're in the bottom of the 6th. Another brilliant pitching performance from a Nationals pitcher. Zimmerman has struck out 8. And now he's got a lead of 2-1. Taking a big deep breath, facing a former MVP and the heart of this Reds lineup, Joey Votto. Votto ahead in the count. Here's the 2-1. Make it 3-1. Votto's hit stretched his hitting streak to 7 straight. He's got Brandon Phillips behind him. That's a strike. We'll go full 3-2. 81 pitches now for Zimmerman. Matt Latos, who had those 2 very difficult innings, the 4th and the 5th, that pushed his pitch count up to 109 out of the game. There's a walk to Joey, so the leadoff hitter is on.
Well, one thing you certainly know about the Nationals is that there's a major drop-off when Davey Johnson goes from the starting pitcher, whoever it is, to the bullpen. And it's exactly, well, not exactly always the word or the difference, but it's oftentimes much different when the Reds go from their starter to their bullpen. Their bullpen's lights out, and the National starting rotation is lights out. So you try to get into the pen as best you can. He's not run out of pitches. Zimmerman's been efficient, only 82 on the night.
Here's Brandon. His ground out in the first plated the Reds' run, and he struck out in the third. Little wrinkle on that one, drops in for strike 1. I mean, Matt Lato's undoing came after two very difficult innings, the fourth and the fifth. I mean, he breezed through the first three. Walked two in the fourth. Gave up the homer, walked two more in the fifth. Swing and a miss. And those are all, both those innings, and a lot of pitches under a lot of stress. Somehow he managed to slam the door, but then one pitch from Arredondo and the lead had erased. No balls, 2 strikes to Brandon. He's already come up with the defensive play of the night that saved Matt Latos from at least 1, maybe 2 runs. I have a feeling what our dancing dog will be doing tonight, our John Morrell hot dog play of the day.
We can run that every day for the rest of the season.
The only thing that would be better would be a game-winning hit. Dial that one up, Chris. 1-2. Votto stole a base last night and was running earlier tonight. I mean, you forget about him, he'll pick your pocket. That's a liner. They'll go back to first, and they got him. Off too far was Joey Votto, and he pays the price.
Well, the ball was hit sharply off the bat. He's thinking about maybe being able to go to third base, and he just gets picked his pocket right there. What a nice play by Desmond. I mean, he gets that ball and immediately unloads. A close play at first, but Votto's out.
That's the arm of Ian Desmond, too.
Hey, we've seen some big-time major league plays in this series. They turned a double play last night. Espinosa and Desmond together. Brandon Phillips play. I mean, that's why you watch Major League Baseball.
Here's Jay, struck out and lined to center, 0 for 2. In the air to left center. That's going to stay in the park. Ankiel over quickly, will glove it. So the Reds get a leadoff batter on, nothing to show for it. They trail 2-1. We're heading to the 7th. Tonight's encounter, get him on, get him over, get him in, lead off hit, then a ground out, gets the run in for the Reds. They lead at 1-0 on Brandon Phillips' ground ball out. Matt Latos battled 109 pitches, but exited at a 1-1 game. Same thing for Jordan Zimmerman. He had it working with 8 strikeouts. This game tied up on a Wilson Ramos home run, his 3rd of the year. That tied the game 1-1 as Stubbs just couldn't get it in the 5th inning. And the play of the year defensively comes from the Gold Glover, Brandon Phillips, that ended a bases loaded situation. A brilliant play by Brandon. That ended the 5th. He did it for the 2nd night in a row. Danny Espinosa, a home run, 2nd night in Cincinnati, and he made the Reds pay. The first pitch from Jose Arredondo, 2-1. That's the lead that the Nationals have. 2 runs, 4 hits for Washington, a run, 4 hits for the Reds. Latos is gone. Arredondo pitched the 6th. The first pitch hit out of the park by Espinosa. Then he struck out the side. And as we go to the 7th inning, here's a guy who's been money in the bank for the Reds all season long. Logan Andrusik takes over. Facing the top of the order, Ian Desmond.
Andrusik, which is Czechoslovakian for lights out. 13 innings, 6 hits, 11 punch outs, and no runs.
Big swing by Desmond, who struck out first time up, rounded out in the 3rd. And then in the 5th, double to keep a rally alive for the Nationals. Now that big frame, you needed every inch of that to haul that in, Chris. Long drink of water and a leaping effort from Logan Andrusik.
He's an athletic guy, Andrusik is. Just because he's tall, 6 feet 8 inches tall, doesn't mean he can't move around out there. He has come such a long way. I mean, when he first broke into the major leagues, he was throwing, 92, 91. He'd work at that every once in a while, 93. We've seen him hit 97 and 98 so far this season. You may be looking at a closer in the making here.
Picked up his first career save the other day, and when I came to town yesterday, I said, "You got the ball?" He had a big smile on his face. That's a special moment, isn't it?
It is a special moment for him, and he's such a good kid.
Yep. No balls, 1 strike. He uses the split finger not as much as Arredondo, and if you watch him set up, he'll set up with the split finger in his hand before he ever puts the hand in the glove.
Well, he jams it way back there. It's actually more, I mean, back in the old days, they would call it a forkball. Now all of those are called split finger pitches. That, the slow breaking ball, is a curveball. That's a pitch that he had in spring training that had left him there in the first week or so of the season. Then when he got that baby back, boy, his confidence soared, and he's been throwing downhill ever since.
Hey, get ready for Reds action a half hour before every game with Reds Live, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing on Fox Sports Ohio. Reds Live has everything you need to know to keep up to date. Tonight was a perfect example of it. Jim Day, Jeff Pecoro telling you that Scott Rowland placed on the disabled list just moments before the game began. Your exclusive home for Cincinnati Reds baseball brings you Reds Live before every game. 2 balls, 2 strikes. JD and Pick will be downstairs to put the cap on today's effort too. Hopefully it's a smiling scoreboard. Off his hand, and it'll be an infield hit.
Well, let's hope he doesn't have a little stinger out there that may have hurt his finger one way or another. They'll tell you don't try to barehand anything, but reactions automatically tell you to put your hand out there. Fortunately, he had his hand completely out and flat to the ball. Where you run into a problem is when a ball comes back at you. You try to barehand it, and your hand is only about half open like a claw, and that ball hits you on the end of a finger. That's when you can split a fingernail, break a bone, break the tip of your finger.
Well, here's Zimmerman, struck out, walked on a 3-2 pitch, and lined out. The Reds have kept him pretty quiet in this series. He had 2 singles last night. In his career, he's been tough against the Reds, nearly a 300 hitter, and he's come up with, as you might expect, a lot of big hits for this franchise. Andrusik trying to erase him here in the 7th. Middle of the infield double play depth. Bernardina, pretty good speed down at first. And 1 one of the things you talk about, all the things that Andrusic has done to refine his game, Chris. When we first saw him, he had a long motion to the plate, but his slide step now, even as big and as tall as he is, he's cut down his delivery to the plate measurably.
Well, he really is a guy that works downhill rather than drives to the plate. He uses his legs great, yes, but he doesn't take a lot of time to set his hips. All you really need to do is to cock your hips and stay closed.
Bernardina bluffs going and holds 3-0. Zimmerman peeks at Bo Porter for a sign. The only thing that slowed big number 11, injuries throughout his career. That's a strike. Nationals are for real. I think everybody's wondering now, how good are they? Their pitching is solid. If they get Morse back in the outfield, and they get Jason Worth back, that'll help their offense in the second half of the season. They get Drew Storen, Brad Lidge back. They get Mark DeRosa too. DeRosa is a very valuable member of this club, and they get him off the disabled list. Little bigger lead down at first. Here's the 3-1. Bernardina inching off first. Not going. Bounce to second. 4, 6. Yes, sir. E3. Oh, that's sweet music. Brandon ends another inning with an outstanding effort. The Reds looking for runs. They're trailing at 2-1. Colorado Rockies, Saturday, May 26th at Great American Ballpark. Make sure you take advantage of the Reds 4 for $48 ticket deal. It includes 4 view level tickets and 4 Reds hats for only $48. Plus, the first 20,000 fans through the gates receive a Scott Rowland Rawlings Gold Glove Award replica trophy presented by Cons. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit select Kroger location or reds.com. You know, there'll be a big crowd in the ballpark Saturday, May 26th. And on this Saturday, there's a big crowd here, 42,294. Third
crowd.
sellout of the year, second largest crowd of the season, topped only by opening day. And hoping for a Reds rally in the final 3 innings. Here's Todd Frazier to lead it off in the 7th. There's a broken bat into right center. That'll drop for a hit. Well, Frazier, his first hit after striking out twice against Zimmerman.
One too many sliders for that number 6 hitter, Todd Frazier. He did not look good his 2 previous at bats. It was a the same type of pitch that Zimmerman went after him, pitch after pitch after pitch, with that slider down and away. That ball right out of the end of the bat, you saw it splinter, a piece flying, but a leadoff single. So back-to-back innings now. The Reds have make it three innings in a row that they've got the leadoff hitter on.
Hannigan led off the 5th with a base hit. Votto led off the 6th with a walk, and here's Frazier leading off the 7th with a base hit. Here's Ludwig, reached on an infield hit in the 2nd and struck out looking in the 4th. Reds haven't had many opportunities. Told you about the 1st inning, a single by Cozart, fielder's choice, a ground out by Votto, gets the runner to 3rd. Phillips ground out, got the run in. Lone run the Reds had. Zimmerman to the stretch. Ludwig, fastball inside corner, locked him up for strike 1. Reds had an infield hit by Ludwig in the 2nd, nothing to show for it. In the 3rd, Votto reached on an infield hit, nothing to show for it. And then the last 3 leadoff hitters have been on, but no run produced by the Reds. And in a hole is Ryan at 0-2. In his career, Ludwig does have 3 hits coming into tonight, so he's 4 for 14 with a home run against Zimmerman. Wouldn't be a bad spot for it here. His average is under 200, but he's come up with some big hits for the Reds, just as he did in St. Louis. 3 homers on the year. Setting up away, the catcher Ramos. Breaking ball down and away. Frazier gets the start tonight with Roland placed on the disabled list. Peering in and inching off the bag at 1st. That kicks away. He's going to try for 2nd. There'll be no throw. It'll be in scoring position. And I don't know, Ramos may have twisted his knee.
He sure did.
Boy, he went down like a rock. He went to brace his leg to make a throw, and it just twisted on him. That does not look good. He was off balance. And in an odd position, tried to turn and find a way to make a throw, couldn't do it. I mean, you hate to say it, Chris, it reminded you a little bit of the sight we saw a week and a half ago when Mariano Rivera went down in the outfield in batting practice in Kansas City for the Yankees. Just an odd position to be in, and for a catcher that takes so much pounding on the knees, it's an awkward position like this. Watch it twist in. Oh.
Boy, he just went to plant thinking that maybe he could plant and throw, and he just landed in the wrong way.
I mean, he's built like a brick wall, but you get that weight going in the wrong direction and put all that pressure on your knee. Man.
You can lift weights until your muscles are popping out of your shirt, but you can't do anything for your ligaments and your tendons.
This kid's a tough kid.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're just deciding whether he can even get up and get out off the field on his own or not.
I think Davey asked for a stretcher already. He's motioned to the dugout to see if they had something, and they're not going to wait for it. They're going to try to get him out. What a shame. What an outstanding young player, and a fine young man that just gets his legs tangled and doesn't look good.
Well, he can't put any weight on it at all. That's a shame.
Came up in the Minnesota organization, was backed up with Joe Mauer, the catcher there, in the Twins traded him. He's getting a chance to show what he could do here. And let's just hope it looks worse than it actually is. A nice round of applause by the sellout crowd here in Cincinnati. And he's been one of the keys to the game for the Nationals tonight with his 3rd home run of the season. The backup catcher here is Jesus Flores. So Flores is getting on the equipment and coming out to take over. Jesus came up in the Mets organization. In fact, it was Davey Johnson, when he was working as a scout and advisor to Mike Rizzo, that saw Flores in the Mets organization, liked him, and told the Nationals to go after him as a Rule 5 selectee. They did, and very intelligent, great feet, great hands behind the plate. In fact, probably a better defensive catcher, the best that the Nationals have. Student of the game, runs his pitching staff well. So Flores takes over behind the plate, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes with the runner at second, and waving at it for strike 3 is Ludwig. So Frazier gets on the base hit, goes to second. He's still sitting at second, and the Reds, we talk about the little things. Get him on, get him over, get him in. They got him to second. Even a ground ball to the right side got him to third, but couldn't do it. So here's Hannigan. Ryan fly to left, single to right. Now 9 strikeouts for Zimmerman. Last night, Gio Gonzalez had 9 strikeouts in his 5 innings of work. Last time Zimmerman faced the Reds, he went 7 innings, allowed 3 hits, didn't figure in the decision. He's gone deep often, Chris.
That's what they get him out there for, George. He's usually efficient with his pitches, and that's what happens when you throw strikes. 100 pitches last time, longest outing of the year, 7 innings. And he's done that 3 times, and he goes right around 100 pitches.
Moving in on the 100 mark right now. From the stretch, Zimmerman. Desmond trying to keep Frazier close at second. And at the very least, Hannigan trying to get the ball to the right side to move the runner to third. Century mark for Zimmerman on pitch count tonight. Flores not afraid to throw behind the runner, so if Frazier gets too far off, Flores will throw behind him. Flores much better at throwing base runners out on the season. We told you about Ramos, who's only 1 for 10 coming into the series. Flores has thrown out 3 of the 5 who have tried to steal, and much more athletic behind the plate. As soon as we hear something on Wilson's situation, we'll pass it on to you. Hopefully a lot better than the way it looked. 2-2. Good eye. That slider has been helpful to Zimmerman all night long. Does he go back to it here?
I think that's his pitch. Early in the game, he was throwing more fastballs. Second and third time around, he's been throwing more sliders. Right-handers have had just a hard time negotiating that pitch.
Full count, 3-2. To the right side. They'll get the runner to third, but now there are 2 outs. And with the pitcher's spot due up, Miguel Cairo has come out of the dugout, and he will pinch hit in the pitcher's spot. Cairo last night, pinch hit in the 5th inning and ended up with a leadoff double. The Reds in that inning wound up with the bases loaded, but got nothing out of the opportunity. Aroldis Chapman loosening in the bullpen. For the Reds, he'll be the next Reds pitcher. Meanwhile, Steve McCaddy coming out to talk to his right-hander Jordan Zimmerman. Hey, don't forget, join Fox Sports Ohio and outfielder Drew Stubbs, Reds Live co-host Jim Day, and the Fox Sports Ohio girls on June 7th as part of Fox Sports Ohio's Lunch Bunch. You can go to Facebook.com/Fox Sports Ohio girls for your chance to win a seat at the luncheon and a 46-inch HD TV. The Fox Sports Ohio Lunch Bunch presented by Cincinnati Bell. Jesse, is that the same 46-inch TV you got in the back of your car? No, huh? Well, they're on their feet trying to cheer on the Reds as Cairo comes to the plate. We're in the 7th. A leadoff hit by Frazier. They've gotten him to 3rd, now trying to get him in and tie this game up. Slider misses. Ball 1.
Pretty good pitch right there to a pinch hitter, because you come out of the on-deck circle as a pinch hitter looking for a fastball. You can drop a curveball in there or a breaking ball, in this case a slider. That's actually a curveball, a rare one there for Zimmerman. And get ahead, you've got kind of a free pitch.
Bounce to the right side. Espinosa has it, and that will do it. So the Reds get the leadoff hitter on again, but cannot convert. And they still trail it 2-1. That's the way this one has unfolded. 2 runs, 5 hits for Washington. Home runs by Ramos and Espinosa. The difference so far, an RBI from Phillips, and you saw that brilliant play by Brandon. A run, 5 hits for the Reds. Nice job by Matt Sigafus, giving you a bird's eye view, a picture-perfect view of this game so far. And great to have Matt down in the truck again tonight after doing pregame efforts last night. Lauren White, Alan Layton doing graphics for us. John Browdy helping them out. And this guy has helped out the bullpen big time this year, Chris.
Well, it's almost like the Reds PR department in charge of the game tonight, except for the outcome right now. Anyway, Brandon Phillips makes the Defensive Player of the Year, and everybody in the house, 42,000 plus, firing it in there in the high 90s.
We talked about average speed of fastballs, and you've got number 1 and number 2 in the league here tonight. Henry Rodriguez in the bullpen for the Nationals. He's right around 98, and this guy is right in the same pocketbook with him, Chris.
He certainly is. 98, but we've seen Chapman hit 101. That was in Milwaukee so far this year. My recollection, George, at least in 2012, that's been his fastest. But really what separated Chapman for the Reds is that he's no longer throwing the ball and then turning around to look at the radar gun reading. He's dropping that slider in and getting guys out routinely.
2 balls, 1 strike to Adam LaRoche. LaRoche grounded to short. Great play by Cozart to rob him. Single to left, then was intentionally walked in the 5th. He's been poison to the Reds all year. He almost single-handedly beat the Reds in the Washington series when the Nationals took 3 of 4. And yesterday, a double made it 3-0 in the 1st. A single made it 7-0 in the 4th.
I think his ball goes off his foot and then comes up and nearly knocks his helmet off.
Trying to get him to go. Says home plate umpire Eric Cooper. So we'll go full 3-2. Up the elevator shaft. Who's going to take charge? Frazier does, and he's got it. Wow.
And Frazier's telling Chapman to get out of the way. Aroldis is just standing right there. If he hadn't moved, it looked like the ball was going to hit him on the top of the hat.
There was that one moment where everybody was looking at each other, and Frazier finally did take charge. I got it. I got it. That's his Rutgers education. Knew what to do in the right time. Here's Bryce Harper. Harper 0 for 5 last night, 0 for 3, and robbed of a hit on a brilliant play that ended the 5th by Brandon Phillips. He gets his first dose of Aroldis Chapman here.
This is a great matchup right here. I mean, looking down the line at the careers of these two players, potentially, you know, people are comparing Bryce Harper to Mickey Mantle, Ken Griffey Jr., and there's been nobody around like Aroldis Chapman.
He hung in there on that slider. Got him. And oh, by the way, Chris, what was the number on that?
That, Bryce Harper, is a honey. 100 miles an hour. Man, that's a thing of beauty right there.
Oh, I mean, his mechanics are just superlative. So you've always used and loved the words easy gas. That is easy gas at its best.
That's high octane.
Yep. That's $5 a gallon. Now it's time for our Nissan drive of the game. Second 9 in a row. Danny Espinosa has delivered for Washington. That's given them the 2-1 lead. That came last time up to lead off the 6th. Our Nissan drive of the game. No balls, 1 strike.
Well, you could tell with the first swing that Danny Espinosa was cheating to catch up to the fastball. He was swinging just about the time that Chapman left the ball out of his hand. So what did Hannigan do? Let's see how you look on a breaking ball right here. The answer, not too good.
They're on their feet. That great American, 42,000 plus, wanting Chapman to do it again. Broken bat. Chapman. Oh, yeah. That hit the back of Espinosa, hit the first base coach Trent Jewett, or else he's sitting on second. I mean, Chapman's best idea there was just put it in his pocket. That may have been 103 going to first. Wow.
Even Joey Votto is saying, change up, please.
We got a radar going to first.
It's like a sniper's bullet.
Trent Jewett may wind up on the DL after that one. Now, the good news for the Reds, he's still at first. If it hadn't hit Espinosa and hadn't hit Jewett, it would have been down the right field line. Well, here's Ankiel. Rick tonight flied out, struck out, struck out. Ankiel 0 for 1, matched up against Chapman in his career. Sometimes you make a perfect pitch and get a bad result. I mean, he shattered that bat. There he goes. No throw, stolen base.
Well, it was, you know, those throwovers to first base, I think, are being called from the dugout. And Espinosa figured after twice that Chapman throws to first, there's no way they're going to call me to go over there, or call Chapman to go over there for a third time. So he had a huge jump. As soon as Chapman lifted his leg, he was off, and there wasn't even going to be a throw no matter what.
He's going to third. And no throw there.
Now, this is where you don't worry about it if you're Aroldis. He's asking Bo Porter. He can't hit me over here, can he?
And Chapman will work from the stretch with the runner on third. 2-0 to Ankiel. And it's 3-0. So 2 easy outs, then a broken bat base hit, and 2 stolen bases. That's the spot, and Chapman hits it perfectly. 3-1.
Interesting, they give Ankiel the 3-0 green light. Almost guaranteeing you're going to get a fastball. Maybe not one at 101. Maybe one only takes a little bit off to get it in there. Takes a little off, like down to 98. That was the spot you talked about, Ankiel having a hole.
They won it.
Same spot.
They got it.
Wow.
2 stolen bases. No problem for the Big A. The Cuban Missile delivers. Now the Reds need to deliver offensively. early because online registration ends Monday, May 21st at midnight. The Redlegs run benefits the baseball-themed outreach program of the Reds Community Fund. Register now at reds.com/run. You can't see this in too many times, Chris.
Man, oh man, he comes back from 3 balls, no strikes, 3-1, 3-2, and then vaya. Another 100-mile-an-hour fastball strikeout for Aroldis Chapman. He did that to Bryce Harper. And he gets out of the inning with a man on third base. And the Reds are going to have to do some business against Tyler Clippard. He's been the 8th inning guy for a couple of years now with the Nationals. Very good pitcher, big, tall guy, kind of a herky-jerky motion, hard thrower. He can tend to be a little bit wild from time to time, as you see by those 8 bases on balls. But he's a tough guy to hold off on because he throws so hard.
Saw his opponent batting average. When he's gotten in trouble, it's been via the walk. That's a strike. I mean, right-handers are hitting only 207 off him. Left-handers 200. That equates to that 204 average. So you don't get too much from this guy. Strike one. Zach Cozart. Cozart singled, struck out, flied out. Breaking ball misses. If you joined us late, 2 stories of the day. The Reds have only a run on the board that came in the first. Zach singled to right, was running on a 3-2 pitch, and on a ground ball to short, beat the throw to second. Stubbs beat the throw to first. So the Reds had first and second and nobody out. Popped up into short center. Who's going to get there? And Keel will, and there's one away. After the runners were at first and second, Votto grounded to first to move the runners to second and third. And then Brandon Phillips grounded out to allow Cozart to score. The Reds had a 1-0 lead. That's the only run they had. Hey, Reds fans, if you're in the restaurant industry, let JTM Food Group help you with great tasting, healthier products for your menu. That's JTM. Did your delivery come today, Chris?
No, George. I'm wondering if you were at the end of the street intercepting it.
Get the freezer ready. It's coming. The other big story of the day, if you joined us late, Scott Rowland placed on the disabled list just prior to the game tonight with recurring left shoulder difficulties. Mike Costanzo has been called up from the minor leagues, 8-year-old veteran minor leaguer, and he is with the club and available. Here's Drew. Stubbs reached on that fielder's choice, bounced back to the pitcher, and bounced to first. Needing a rally last night in the ninth as the first batter, he reached on a bunt hit. And Chris, you watched it during spring training. We watched him in batting practice. He's worked a lot on that push bunt down the first base line, much more comfortable than trying to dump it down the third base line.
Well, he's always been more comfortable down the third base line, but that's one thing that they're trying to get him to do is do it down the first base line more. It's actually an easier bunt.
Yep.
But he's reserved that really for left-handed pitchers. Pitchers who lefties fall off towards third base, and it's tough for them to get to the right side.
2-1.
I would think, though, in a situation like this, when you're down by 1, Drew Stubbs knows he has power. And he would probably think that his best chance of helping his ball club is to swing away and maybe popping one out of here.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Taking ball, breaks wide, and it's 3-2. Reds would love to get him on. He's the Reds' best stolen base threat. The only other part of that equation with Flores behind the plate now, it's a whole different scenario. He's good at controlling the running game. Full count, 1 away.
Ooh, a changeup. That's a nasty pitch.
Stubbs retired.
He just pulls the string right here. We see him loaded up in his hand, and he throws it in the perfect spot.
Well, there's Joey Votto in the perfect spot for the Reds. Votto tonight moved the runners over on a ground ball to the right side in the first, reached on an infield hit and a leadoff walk in the sixth. 2 away here in the eighth. Reds down by 1. And you know his story. With runners in scoring position, he has been the Reds' best hitter this year. Over 400. 7th inning or later, in a 1-run game, he's been even more money in the bank than you could expect. He's 6 for 16. The Reds could use a hit here. Brandon Phillips on deck. Joey in his career 2 for 5 against Clippard.
Well, he's saving those little combos, that changeup for the perfect time right there. Joey Votto on a 2-0 count, thinking, hey, maybe I'm going to get a fastball right there, and he throws the pitch that looks like a fastball but isn't, which is that changeup. You don't see all that many late inning relievers that throw 3 different pitches as equally as Clippard does.
Setting up away, Flores.
Back to back.
Well, the guessing game won that time by Clippard and Flores.
What a great little out pitch right there to add to a breaking ball.
Closest thing to a Tom Hume lookalike in baseball today, huh? Sure looks like Humey. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Yes, missing inside. Clippard thought he had it. His shoulders slumped. Three-two. Outside ball 4. The league's leader in free passes gets 2 more tonight. Joey Votto walks. And here's Brandon. Brandon plated a run on a ground out in the first, struck out, and then lined into a double play in the sixth. In his career, 1 for 3 against Clippard. There are the numbers. The lead increasing this week. We see it periodically, Chris, and this may be one of those moments where early in the count you may see Brandon swing from the heels. He'll do it once in a while when he thinks he needs a long ball.
Well, you're right, and he does usually in this at bat. It's usually his first swing. That's usually on the first pitch.
Jay Bruce on deck. Breaking ball misses for ball 1. Second largest crowd of the year, 3rd sellout. Hoping Dusty Baker's boys can rally here in the 8th and the 9th. 42,294 at Great American Ballpark. Or sets up down and away.
Well placed.
Ball and a strike. Zimmerman quicker to the plate than Clippard is, but Flores quicker to second than Ramos was. But Flores behind the plate now. Good catch and throw. So Votto can't stray too far from that first base bag. Bigger lead for Joey, inching off the bag at first. Breaking ball misses.
Boy, he's not afraid to throw that changeup on any count. I mean, those are his first two pitches: fastball, changeup, then his breaking ball. He's really trying to keep that ball away from Brandon Phillips.
Phillips going to do some business. It looks like he's going to have to go to the right side.
Exactly.
Votto leads off first.
Spit on that pitch because you can't do anything with it.
2 balls, 2 strikes to tonight's Reds cleanup hitter, Brandon Phillips. Dusty loved to see him keep the inning alive and get Bruce to the plate. Did that get him? Just missed his shoulder.
That was a curveball right there that he just kind of flew right out of his hand. The first one that Brandon has seen in that at bat, probably the last one too. So his bread and butter has been fastball or changeup.
So they'll play behind Votto with 3-2 and 2 outs. Joey will be off and running. In the gap, the Reds have a chance of getting the tying run home. There goes Votto. That's fouled off. Hugging the line, LaRoche behind, Votto down at first. There goes Joey. And that's fouled again. Good job by Phillips to spoil a pitch up and in. Do you risk the changeup again against Brandon? Flores asking him to shake his head and shake off the sign. Here's the 3-2. Down and away, he sets up. Line drive to right, but it'll be right at the right fielder, Bryce Harper. So the Reds get a runner, nothing to show for it. They still trail by 1. tonight. It's Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. And Chris, remember a day, August the 13th, 2009, Bronson Arroyo against this Washington Nationals team. Zimmerman delivers a fly ball to the wall and a brilliant catch bouncing against the wall, and Bronson gets to celebrate. The end result, 2 hits, a walk, 3 strikeouts. August 13th, 2009. Bronson gets the victory. Can he do the same tomorrow? Our Miller Time moment, sponsored by Miller Lite.
The matchup tomorrow, a good one. A couple of veterans going at it. Good start so far.
Jackson's game, the best game pitched against the Reds so far this year. The complete game victory.
Yeah, I think that was a superlative effort. Let's hope tomorrow's ball game is the rubber game of the series.
Here's Jesus Flores, first at bat. He came in for Wilson Ramos, who left the game after twisting his knee. Still no word on his status. An agonizing play, and we only wish him the best. Pitcher spot due up next. Henry Rodriguez starting to loosen in the bullpen for the Nationals. Chapman in for his second inning of work. Got LaRoche to pop out. Struck out Harper on a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Espinosa reached on a broken bat dribbler, and then he struck out Ankiel to end the inning, and he strikes out Flores to start the inning here. And don't forget, join us tomorrow and every Sunday before the game at the Reds live set for Sunglass Sundays. 100 people receive free sunglasses courtesy of Fox Sports Ohio and Ride Smart. Join Jim Day, Jeff Pecoro for a festive Mom's Day at the ballpark prior to the game tomorrow. We'll be here. Hope you'll be with us too. There's Tyler Moore, will pinch hit in the pitcher spot. Clippard's night is done. 1 inning, 1 walk, 1 strikeout for Clippard. Tyler in at 222 in limited action. 1 ball and 1 strike. Moore, an infielder by trade. But before the game today, Nationals were out trying to get him some work in the outfield just in case on double switches or the like that they needed him to place him outfield. Big swing there, and that takes care of Tyler.
Moore, grab a bat. Got good news. You're in the game. Bad news. You're facing Chapman.
And that is slow-mo, isn't it? Sometimes you can't tell.
3 in a row, 4 out of 5 for Chapman.
Still looks like a fastball, even in slow motion. 4 strikeouts for Oldest. Here's Desmond. Struck out, grounded out, doubled, and bounced back to the pitcher. 2 runs, 6 hits for the Nationals. A run, 5 hits for the Reds. Washington is stranded 8. The Reds 6. Pitchers of record, Matt Latos exited the game in the 5th inning after 109 pitches. He was staked to an early 1-0 lead and left in a 1-1 tie. Ramos tied the game at 1. Espinosa gave the Nationals the lead 2-1 with a homer. And there is Henry loosening in the bullpen. You've got the opportunity to see the 2 hardest throwers in the league back to back tonight. Aroldis, fastball at anywhere from 96 to 101 or 2. And Rodriguez is out of the same mold.
A little different deliveries that they both have.
Yep.
And
And this year and
both
most
of them
years.
get right on you.
Yep. Rodriguez will walk a few more. Full count, 3-2. Fouled off at 99.
Well, you can see where both of these teams, the Reds and the Nationals, had such high hopes for their bullpens, and then oddly enough, both of them end up having their closer go on the disabled list, probably lost for the year. Certainly Madsen, they're not so sure about Story.
Broken bat. Phillips taking charge. Got it. 1-2-3 ninth. Last roundup time for the Reds. Jay Bruce will lead it off. Cincinnati needs a run. Sports Ohio has been brought to you by CCHMC, Cincinnati Children's, in the top 10 for all selected pediatric specialties, and United States News and World Report's 2010 Best Children's Hospitals. And by the dependable, long-lasting Chevy Silverado and your tri-state Chevy dealers. I'll say hi to the dancing dog. Time for our John Morrell hot dog play of the game. Chris, take us through a gem.
What else? Up the middle by Brandon, the backhand flip. I'll tell you, memo to Zach Cozart, any shortstop that works for Brandon Phillip, be ready for the ball. You're not so sure where it's coming from, but it's coming. And that was a huge play because that ended the inning with the bases loaded.
Our John Morrell hot dog play of the night. Well, here's Henry. Rodriguez takes over as we go to the ninth. The Reds need a run. Rodriguez numbers gaudy. His opponent's batting average only 143. And you see the strikeouts. 18 strikeouts in 13 innings. Immense. And the numbers for the Reds go up and down the lineup. Even those that are sitting on the bench, not very good. Bruce, who will lead it off, is 0 for 4. Frazier 0 for 1. And Ludwig 0 for 2 in their careers against big number 63.
He can get it up there, as you can see. First pitch at 98. He's not nearly as tall as Aroldis Chapman. They list him as 6 feet tall. Henry Rodriguez, 195 pounds. Of course, of Chapman, they listed 6'4". I think he's more like, I think he's grown a little bit. I think he's more like 6'5".
His arm's about 6'5".
Yeah.
Jay tonight struck out looking in the first on a 3-2 pitch, a disputed call. Line to center, hit the ball right on the button to lead off the fourth, and flied to right in the sixth.
That's a pretty good pitch right there when you follow up a 98-mile-an-hour fastball with a 90-mile-an-hour changeup. Going to go away with the heat.
Well, we told you it was a sellout crowd tonight. 42,294. That's the second largest crowd of this year, and also the second largest non-opening day regular season game at Great American Ballpark. Big crowd hoping for a big rally here in the ninth. Here's Frazier, 2 strikeouts and a single to right. Now he's in triple-digit territory too now.
Yeah, the fans have really been given a treat tonight. Great defense, some dramatic plays.
Staying down and away.
Not one but 2 100-mile-an-hour pitchers. This is what big league baseball is all about.
If you're standing in the batter's box, it's a different view.
Well, you get up there and you hack. One thing Todd Frazier is not afraid to do.
No balls, 2 strikes. Oh, he locked them up with a breaking ball. And that's back-to-back strikeouts.
Well, he dropped one on Bruce and then finished him off with a fastball. Here he finishes off Todd Frazier with the changeup. And I mean, there's just no way you react to that pitch.
It's up to Ludwig to keep the Reds alive. Jordan Zimmerman went 7 innings, and in his 7 innings of work, he struck out 9. Clippard struck out 1, and Rodriguez has punched out 2 so far in the ninth. Got that spot down, doesn't he?
I'll tell you, if you throw it that hard at that spot, you're going to make it look easy.
Trying tonight. Infield hit, struck out, struck out. Oh, and 2. First ball of the inning. After 3 straight to Bruce, 3 straight to Frazier, it's now 1 ball, 2 strikes to Ludwig. Does he hold on? Marty Foster said he went around. Ludwig doesn't agree. And neither does Dusty. Steve McCaddy and the rest of Davey Johnson's crew will celebrate as you take another look. Did he go? Very close. The end result is a strikeout of the side by Henry Rodriguez in the 9th inning, and the Reds will lose a 1-run encounter with the Washington Nationals. 2 runs, 6 hits, no errors, 8 left for Washington. A run, 5 hits, no errors, 6 left for the Reds. Zimmerman takes the win 2-3. Arredondo gave up the go-ahead home run to Espinosa, the loser, 2-1. Rodriguez gets his 8th save. And Chris, the Reds still searching for offensive spark.
Well, they have, and of course they face some pretty good pitchers in this 2-game series so far with the Nationals. Gio Gonzalez last night, Jordan Zimmerman tonight. Maybe Bronson Arroyo will be able to get him off the schneid with a well-pitched game and get some runs in his behalf.
Still a whole lot more to talk about. If you joined us late, we'll have the full story for you with Jim Day and Jeff Pecoro on Scott Rowland going to the DL. That's coming up next on Reds Live Postgame after this.